I found these out in the garage because forgot to go get beer today, and I got Guinnesses in the garage.
Okay, well, let's get this party started. Welcome, everyone. It's Booze, Brews, and Bros. Scotty Roberts, JV Johnson, thanks for being here. Scotty, you think that theme was funky enough?
I think it was funky enough.
Was it? In the beginning I did. Then I thought, it's not. There's a little bit of energy lacking there. Maybe we're going to have to pump that up a little bit.
Maybe. Hold on one second here. I know we got the grand experiment going here, but
we do.
It's playing sound, double sound through my headset.
Yeah, mute your Facebook stream or your YouTube.
That's
one of those
what I'm
two.
Looking for
yeah, that's what you need to do.
Now.
That'll do it for you. By the way, for those of you who aren't sure what the heck is going on, because we're not quite sure what the heck is going on, Scotty and I decided to do a program rather casually. There's a lot of serious discussion about paranormal topics and maybe things related to paranormal topics, and we decided to take a more casual approach to it. And in doing so, we've hooked ourselves up with an adult beverage or two, and we've got some topics we're going to chat about. We're going to keep an eye on the chat rooms, and we will address your questions, your comments, whatever. We have a phone line that's available if you want to call in and chat with us that way. That number is 607-282-4497. We'll post it continuously in the both chat rooms. But either way, we're just here to have fun. I'm ready to do this. How about you?
I am ready, too. And as a matter of fact, I got to crack my first one right now.
Oh, you haven't started yet?
No, I haven't. I wanted to crack the Guinness live.
Oh, nice.
Now, see, I'm a big Guinness drinker. Right? That's what I like to drink. And so I always liked going out to the Irish pub in my younger days.
You know, the Guinness
got my Guinness pint glass.
The Guinness thing, I have not been able to catch the Guinness fever. Many of my friends like Guinness. You like Guinness.
I do.
It's kind of charcoaly to me. I don't know. Is it just me? I don't know.
It's a little heavier.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
It can be. Let's see if I do this right. I'll get a nice cascade. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Look at that. Can you see that?
Oh, that looks great. Wow, you were good at that.
Cascade coming down.
Is there a trick to doing that?
I think you kind of let it build ahead, and then you take it from there, and it cascades down.
That's impressive.
But of course,
go ahead.
Throughout the Irish pub, they'll draw little designs in the top in the foam for you.
Don't get fancy on us.
I'll skip that tonight.
So this is an experiment, as Scotty mentioned. We are trying this format. We're trying these ideas, and if people like it, we'll continue to do it. That's the whole thing. So, but the idea is to get participation, whether it's through the chat. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can comment in the chat room. If you're watching on the Facebook page, you can comment in the comments section there. And we also have a phone line. I've posted that number in both places if you want to call in. I will warn you, we do not have a call screener, so I may not get to see the phones ringing right away. Just let them ring, and I will answer. And once I answer, you're on. There's no, no waiting. It's right to the live feed. So that's kind of exciting too.
Yeah, I like that. It's always exciting when you don't have a screener.
Scotty, I've got some really bad news.
Uh-oh.
I hate starting any program this way, especially when the program is an experiment, a kind of a pilot, if you will. But the bad news is, do you remember, first of all, are you a fan of the TV show Friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's one of my go-to shows. It's a comfort show for me. Plus, it's hilarious. Do you remember the actor that played Rachel's father, Dr. Green?
Yes, I'm trying to place his face. Now, it wasn't Tom Selleck was the boyfriend,
right?
Tom
Selleck played Monica's boyfriend for a few episodes.
I can't place her dad.
Okay, well, her dad, the actor's name was Ron Liebman. Well, he passed away at 82 years old in the last day or two. And the funny thing is about him as an actor, I always thought he was a little over the top in that role. But frankly, one of my favorite movies of I was going to say all time, but I don't even know if that's worth saying. But one of my favorite movies in general is a movie called Autofocus. Do you know that film?
Yes. Is that the one with Robin Williams?
No, that's what's that one? That one's called.
That was
something
Focus.
Similar.
Something Focus.
Yeah. No, this one's with Greg Kinnear and Willem Dafoe.
Playing the guy who played Hogan.
That's right.
It's Hogan's Heroes.
It's a biopic of Bob Crane's.
Bob Crane.
Yeah, career. It's a good film. It's quirky. It's an independent film. But Ron Liebman, this actor who played Rachel's father in Friends, played Bob Crane's agent in that film. And I loved him in that role because I love that film, but I thought he did a great job in that role. And anytime I saw him on Friends, I couldn't help but think of Autofocus.
You know, and that was a good movie. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
Greg Kinnear really impresses me. I mean, he played Bob Crane, and he had him down pat.
Yeah, he did.
You know, I grew up watching shows like Hogan's Heroes.
I still do.
From the 60s. I still watch. I got a collection of them.
Me too.
And yeah, excuse me, didn't hit my cough button fast enough. But he also played JFK in a movie.
Greg Kinnear
Greg Kinnear. Yeah, and it was a mini series from 6-7 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, and he was really convincing. You thought you were looking at JFK.
Did you do you remember when Greg Kinnear was on that I don't even know what what channel it was, but Cheers. Was that for drinking?
Mm-hmm.
He was the host of Talk Soup or some remember they used to talk about soap operas or something?
Are you talking about the guy and he had the little white patch of hair somewhere on his head?
No, I'm talking about Greg Kinnear.
Oh, Greg Kinnear. Yeah,
he got his start.
That's right. He had that humble beginning.
He got his start as that and I don't even know what that show was about. I just remember seeing him on it, and it used to have spoons floating around in the background.
Yes, Talk Soup.
Talk Soup.
I remember that show.
And
it was was it an MTV show or an?
I don't remember. Somebody in the audience. Yeah, somebody in the audience is going to know what it is. He was on E. Okay, so one of our chatters said it was on the E network. So, but that's how he got started, and then all of a sudden, he became kind of a world-class actor.
Yeah,
So
and he's really done his thing. That's what you need. You're missing something floating in the background behind you.
That'll be next week. There'll be something floating. All right.
Yes.
But this whole thing, reading about Ron Liebman dying today at 82 years old, it started to make me think. We're in December. I mean, we're almost at the end of 2019, which is crazy to begin with. But we've lost a lot of very, very talented people this year.
I couldn't think of a quick list off the top of my head. But you notice as it goes along. And, of course, who are the people that we always watch die that are notable to us out there? People in entertainment.
That's right.
That's usually who we see. We didn't hear, some guy down the block died. It's always what catches our attention are the people that we watched on television.
Well, there tends to be a nostalgia factor with it as well. These people tend to be people that we watched as kids. That tends to be a math thing. Age kind of factors into that. When you watch them as kids, you grow up as an adult. They're going to die when you're an adult. That makes sense. But every one of these folks has some kind of nostalgia attachment to it. And I was going through the list, and I have to admit, there was about 3/4 of the list that I didn't even know who those people were. I'm not well versed in anything past, say, 1995. I think that's kind of where I stopped paying attention to new people coming on the entertainment circuit.
And go ahead.
No, I was just say, but other than that, there were some pretty notable people like Tim Conway. I mean, Tim Conway was a beloved comedian, of course, most notably on the Carol Burnett show. But, he did a lot of great stuff. He was, very instantly recognizable guy, and we lost him this year.
I see, and I didn't know that he had died. I remember it's Mr. Wiggins. Yeah, right. I remember his bits on there.
That's right. And wasn't he the dwarf guy? Was it dwarf where he put his knees in shoes and he was like short?
Yes.
Yeah, like dwarf on golf or whatever. I don't even know.
Yep. Now they had unabashedly. They did some of the best old television comedy. It was clean comedy,
right?
And if it got dirty at all, it was just barely nuance.
Yep.
And they were kind of the last of that old comedy type, and but they would also crack themselves up.
Oh yeah, they would be laughing hysterically, trying to keep it straight, and especially Harvey Korman, who was part of that group. He wouldn't be able to keep a straight face, if his life depended on it. It was fun to watch that, and those things have had a real resurgence recently on like TV Land and stuff.
Yeah, they have. I used to watch faithfully as a little kid. Now I am going to be 60 years old next year, so that right away that dates me. I grew up in the 60s. I was born in 1960, so I ended up as a little kid watching guys like this. Is what throws me. Watching guys like Opie in the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
And now what is he? He's bald. I think he's a few years older than I am.
Now he's bald, yeah.
huge movie producer
Well,
and director.
I was
mean,
going for bald, but okay.
Bald too. And, and he is, it's funny how you can say when you get old enough to say, I watched that person grow up from a child on television or in the movies. And now they're, like he's the big movie director. What were some of his big movies? He just did one of the Star Wars.
He's done a ton
movies.
of them. He did, Cocoon, I think, was like his breakout film, wasn't it?
Cocoon was his big breakout one in the early 80s. And,
he's done a ton of stuff.
Apollo 13.
That's right, yeah.
And of course, he just did a Star Wars film.
Ron Howard has got quite a resume when it comes to directing. Did he do one of the new Planet of the Apes as well?
That I don't know.
We do have a question in our chat room, Scott. I don't know if you saw it, but the question is, did Scotty used to have more facial hair?
I did. I used to have a full beard.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, when Jimmy and I knew each other, JV, I gotta keep calling you JV. When we met each other back 11, 12 years ago, I was clean, just like I am now, stash and little goatee. And somewhere along the way here, I thought it'd be cool to grow a Zeus beard. And so I grew the big beard. I didn't have it really long, but I trimmed that out. So yeah. But the problem was, because I'm getting older, it was white. Yeah. So my beard was pure white, except for just a little bit right there. So I had it for a year. And then I had the big mustache with the curled out edges on it. And it all looked great. And then people started calling me Santa. And so I was like, okay, that's enough of that.
So you know what I'm getting to when I'm talking about these celebrities. I think that if this show works, what we should do if we do one of these programs around New Year's Eve or New Year's Day is we'll get a psychic on or a medium on, and we'll try to contact some of these celebrities we lost this year.
Oh,
wouldn't that be fun?
That would be great. I've got somebody I know who is a very quiet psychic.
Do they do their psychic readings in pantomime or?
No. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, coffin? No, but quiet in that they're not out there blustering. They're not doing all the shows and stuff like that. They run their little business and they do their thing. Well, we were talking one night just several years ago, a few years ago, and she said, I was talking about Humphrey Bogart and Bogart movies. And I said, now he would be interesting to connect with.
Oh, for sure. I was watching one today, actually.
And which one?
Dark Passage.
Oh, yes. Great movie. Mm-hmm. So I'm a huge Bogart fan. And matter of fact, I got his hat, a replica of his hat right
cool.
up there from Casablanca. But she said, did you want to talk to Humphrey Bogart? And I said, you can do it. See, it never occurred to me when talking to psychics. We talked to like old Uncle Billy who passed on 12 years ago and grandma and things like that. And we don't think, well, can you talk to Humphrey Bogart?
Right.
And she said, I can try. And then she said, well, here's what he's saying. And she said a couple of things. And it was very Bogart-esque, the things that she said. And here's the thing, Jim. You know that there are psychics that are out there that you hear it. They're like, it's like there's dime a dozen psychics out there. No offense to anybody who's a dime a dozen psychic.
There are a lot. There's no denying it. There's no denying it.
But then there are the people that that you say to yourself, you go, this person has credibility with me. I know this person. I know the kind of person they are. And so they bear with them credibility. And I've got like out of the 3,000 psychics that I know out there, I've got probably 3 or 4 that I would qualify as being people that are really credible people and really know their stuff.
Well, if we can get one of those to come on to a New Year's Eve program that we can do here, and we can actually contact some of these people. Like just going through this list, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Eddie Money we lost, Doris Day we lost, Luke Perry, he was 52 years old, we lost him this year.
That one was pretty stunning.
Really was, and it's not like it was he may have had substance abuse issues in the past which led to it, but it was a stroke that killed him. Peter Mayhew, of course, we all know who he was. Dick Miller, who was a great B-movie horror movie actor. Bob Einstein. Now, you probably don't know who Bob Einstein is, and if you didn't,
Albert's lesser known younger brother.
Yes, the one that quite didn't have the
Yes.
science.
Yeah, he
education.
only was a C+ average in school. So.
No, Bob Einstein is an actor that played one of the characters on Curb Your Enthusiasm, a show I happen to really enjoy. Who else? I guess that's pretty much. Oh, the big one of the year, by the way. At 7 years old, this is hard to believe, but I guess if you multiply that times 7, it's 49. So at 49 cat years, Grumpy Cat died in 2019.
Oh, yeah. Good riddance.
I know, right?
I'm sorry to all the cat people out there, but you know who started all the insipid cat memes? Grumpy Cat.
Grumpy Cat did it.
And
yeah.
so I'm glad he's dead.
Oh, Scotty, so cruel.
I drink one to him and I dance a jig on his grave.
So cruel. So we'll set that up. We'll set that if this program is received well, we will set up having a medium on a program near the end of the year, and we will try to contact some of these celebrities and special people that we lost in 2019 and see if we
Super
can
Dave passed too.
Who's Super Dave?
Super Dave.
From TV?
And, yeah, from TV. He was on, he always was on Letterman.
That's what I was going to say. He was on Letterman. That's right.
Yeah. May I just do this commonly, but I got to say a shout out and hello to somebody, to Audrey over in the Facebook chat room. Now, Audrey is Our Girl Friday.
Oh, nice.
On our radio shows. And
hey,
so,
Audrey.
Audrey, an amazing woman. She has done so much to help Rocky and I and our shows and me and my show. And so it's nice to see her here tonight.
Hey, Audrey, welcome. Thanks for being here with us. Oh, you know what? I just threw out my paper. Hold on. I just wadded it up and threw it away. It had all my notes.
Oh, I've done that. You know what my desk looks like? Here, look at this. If I can reach it, because I moved it. This. All over my desk. All the notes.
That's not toilet paper, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. I couldn't really tell.
This one says content, and that's all it says. Merovingians. I don't know why I got that written on there, but there's all kinds of notes on here. Well, thank you for that. It's my beautiful wife, Rainey, delivering more brew.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah.
Very nice. So I hope hope you folks watching and listening are taking advantage of this and found yourself something cheery to drink and join us with. The way to participate in the program, a couple ways. One is you can comment in the Facebook live broadcast, or you can comment in the chat room on YouTube, or you can call us at 607-282-4497. I always have to be careful, Scotty, because my cell phone starts with the same 6 digits, and I often give my cell phone number out accidentally.
Oops. I've had my cell phone since my days working with you on the magazine. I had my cell phone listed publicly everywhere. Ooh. And now it's on my website. It's on all my websites, all my radio shows, all my stuff. So the same phone number I had when I was with Taps Paramag back in 2009. Did I start in 2009 or 10?
And somewhere in there.
It's been 10 years. My number's been public. Same phone. I got a call. I got a call from the magazine the other day. Somebody asking for a subscription. Where's my subscription?
Oh my God, that's funny.
I said, oh wow. I said, you're a little late.
Oh my God, that's funny. Mermania in the chat room in YouTube says happy belated Krampusnacht. And what December 5th is Krampus night, right?
Yes. As a matter of fact, my little 5-year-old girl has been bugging the hell out of me the last few days to watch the Krampus movie. And I said, that could give you some scary dreams. I want to watch it. And then I tried to call it up on Amazon. And here I find there's like 67 different Krampus movies, which I didn't know. Literally 67 of them.
Well, and what was the one that kind of started this whole Krampus fever? It was like maybe 10 years ago now. Remember?
Probably Krampus.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
I heard it wasn't that good, though. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I saw a couple that were really low budget. Look, even my son, my 10-year-old son, not overtly savvy in Hollywood production, but he walked through the room in one we were reviewing, and he looked at it and he goes, "Wow, what's wrong with the picture on this?" I said, "Son, it's called low budget."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that film, regardless of the quality of the film itself, reinvigorated this whole Krampus observation and celebration and discussion. Because prior to that, not many people had actually heard about it.
That's true, and it's a fascinating little. I had somebody ask me last year, why don't we revive Krampus at Christmas time and let your kids know? You got Santa who sees all, knows when you're naughty or nice, but you also got the Krampus.
Yeah.
Who can come and take you away. By the way, it's time for number 2. So there you go. See if we can get a good cascade going on this one.
Yeah, I know you can do it.
That's how I pour them.
I know you can do it.
You pour them.
Who's a great Krampus discussion? That came out really weird. But Jeff Belanger, a friend of both of ours.
Oh, yeah.
I have him on the radio program every year, and he talks about Krampus and other Christmas legends. And with the exception of the sanitized Santa Claus, they're all pretty scary. They're all pretty nasty legends and stories and folklore. It is really, it's trying to get people to behave through threat of violence or death. It's pretty bizarre.
That's it. It's kind of like any story that's out there that parents from ancient times to present day, that there was a day back in prehistoric times where, parents would tell their kids, if you don't wash your stone when you're done eating with it, the velociraptor is going to get you. That was out there, and parents have been doing that for years. So.
Right. Yeah, I guess it works if it's tried and true. Let's talk a little bit about paranormal reality television. Now, you were on Beyond Reality Radio last night talking about this a little bit, but we have to do that, and because it's a radio program, we have very limited time. We kind of do it in a rush. We have an opportunity now to talk about this stuff with a little bit of depth and clarity. And I want to start by talking about Ghost Hunters because, you and I both have connections to that show, and that was the granddaddy of really where paranormal reality television has gone. What was it, 2004 when Ghost Hunters hit the air?
Yes, 2004.
So it was 15 years ago, and in that 15 years, there have been 100 or so I won't call them copycats per se, but similar programs. Every network, every cable network has tried their hand at some type of paranormal investigation or ghost hunting show, and it all traces its roots back to Ghost Hunters. Now, Ghost Hunters wasn't the first, but just the way it was presented and the people that it presented, and Jason and Grant and the team, brought it to a place that everybody could understand it and that everybody could relate to it. And that's what opened the door to what we have today.
And, they said, I can only think of the numbers that we had in Minnesota where I lived. But before Ghost Hunters, there were 2 paranormal investigation groups in the state of Minnesota. And back at the time I was doing the mag back in 2010, there were over 300 paranormal groups.
Yeah.
So that's the effect that Ghost Hunters had on the public mind.
Yeah, well, that's the common story as well. In fact, Jason and Grant will tell the story. Even Steve will tell the story, Steve Gonzalez, where when they had the paranormal group prior to Ghost Hunters, they would go online and they would look for other paranormal groups, and they might be able to come up with 3 websites in the country of other paranormal groups. Now you get 3 in every city. That's what the show
more,
did.
Yeah,
that's what the show did to the whole environment. And as we know, Ghost Hunters has been rebooted. Ghost Hunters was originally a series on the Sci-Fi Network, and it has now gone to A&E, and it's been rebooted after being off air for how many years? 3 years?
Yeah, I think it was 3 years.
I think it was 3 years. Now, it doesn't have the original team. The only original member is Grant Wilson.
And of course, he was gone off of the show a few years before they went off air 3 years ago.
Yeah, he left the show, was it season 7 or 8? And it went 13 seasons. So he left like 5 years before it went off. And he's back, and he's got a new team. And, I've been a little bit critical of it, just because the bar has been set so high. And when something comes back like that, you really hope they come back with something new and improved and exciting. And I felt like it was kind of a rehashing of what had been done. And sadly, it just didn't capture my attention. Grant is a great friend. He's a wonderful person. And I don't take the criticism criticizing the show very lightly, and I'm not doing it intensely. I'm just offering a bit of an opinion.
Sure.
But, I don't know. I feel like there is we have to turn a corner at some point. We have to find a way to make this whole thing more exciting. And I'll leave it to let you offer your opinion, Scotty, if you think any of these new shows have done it.
First I'll say that I love Grant dearly. We haven't talked in years, just because we're on different paths, totally. But it was when I was with the magazine, and he was a dear friend, and as was Mrs. Wilson. And I just have to pass this on because we're drinking here tonight. Is that I remember fondly sitting with Grant and Rihanna in their villa at the Stanley, and drinking what's the gin? Not Hennessy, Hendrix. And Grant said, "Scotty, have you ever had my special lemonade?" And I said, "I have not." And so he made lemonade with Hennessy, and it was fantastic. I think I got dropped.
You're still here, Scotty.
Oh, there I am.
You're still here. Just keep talking.
I don't see the screen. Sorry about that. And we got slowly but surely, or maybe it was speedily and surely, played the inebriates. All I remember, I'll tell you this, and you be the judge. Everybody was hanging over in the other villa. There was Amy Bruni and Chris Williams and several other people. And Grant came in with Rihanna, and he walks over to me and he says, just like this. And Grant, if you're listening, I'm not revealing any secrets. I'm just having fun. He came over and he said, "Scotty," just like that. And he goes, "I just want to tell you how much I love you, man." And I said, "Well, I love you too, Grant." And that was kind of the mode of the rest of the evening.
Well, so, your problem was drinking gin to begin with. That is like the most...
Oh, gin.
Yeah, gin.
And when you drink gin, when it tastes like lemonade...
Oh, boy.
We were pretty much... we played the inebriates. But I will say this. As I mentioned last night, I have not seen Grant's new show. Not because I don't want to, because I pulled in a million different directions, and I haven't seen that. But things that I've heard about it is some of the constructive criticisms you've given, is that it's kind of like what we were talking about with the Carol Burnett show, trying to do a comedy show like that and go back to that mode of comedy show doesn't always sell well with the public anymore, because times have changed. Things have changed. And I think so much has happened in the paranormal field and the paranormal world that the only real criticism, harsh criticism I heard for Grant's show was that it was the same thing as they were doing before. And so I wish him the best of success with that. And I hope it goes well. I hope that they get more innovative and do things. And here's a question I got for you. How would you, Jim, if you were JV, you got to get used to that.
Yes,
I've never called you that, but everybody knows you as that.
I know.
I've always called him Jimmy, folks.
Yeah.
So if you were in charge, you had the budget, your fingers on the purse strings to create a new paranormal television show, which, as we talked about last night, are on the rise again. What elements do you think you would want to see in a paranormal show that would make it more still fresh? You're still dealing with the paranormal, but how would you make it fresh and exciting and new?
That's a great question, because there's only so much you can do if you can't get a ghost to show up on your camera. And which seems to have been rather elusive for all the shows for all these years. But yes. you know what I think I would do? There are actually two things, and I have to be careful what I talk about here, because these are actually ideas that I am working on. But I like the backstory. I enjoy the story behind what might be happening in the house or the factory or the hotel or whatever it happens to be. I like that part of it. And I think that by focusing more on the story, we get a better. We relate to what might be happening a little bit more seriously and certainly more intellectually. And that makes it more real to me, and it makes it more interesting to me. So I think focusing on that is a way to go. I don't want to get too serious here.
Yeah.
But I do believe that the history and the personalities involved make it interesting. It's one thing just to sit in a dark room and wait for something to move or something to show up on as an EVP. But if you don't have any connection to whatever any of that is, it doesn't mean anything. It's may as well be a parlor trick. It doesn't mean a whole lot.
Let me ask you an additional question. If you had the choice to go anywhere you want, you could make it the United States, but you could open it up to the world as well. Any one place that you could go where you go, man, I would really love to do a paranormal investigation at this location. What would it be?
Well, and as soon as I finish this beer, I'm going to say I want to go to the Bass Brewery because I'm going to need another one.
Yes. I've got my stash back there.
You've got it close. My refrigerator's over there.
Guinness, room temperature.
That's true. You don't need to refrigerate it. That's a great question too. I tell you, the one place I would really, really, really like to investigate is the Amityville house. And I don't think I'm one of the people that is very, very skeptical about the story to begin with. However, there's enough of a story there, and the murders that happened there make it an interesting location, and therefore that's where I'd like. If I had to pick one place, that would be the place.
Wasn't it John Ziggity Zaffis that got his start there because his aunt and uncle were Ed and Lorraine Warren? And that's how he got his start in the paranormal. He's now considered the godfather of the paranormal.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the Amityville house?
Yeah. Ed and Lorraine Warren did investigate the Amityville house, and they came up with the famous Demon Boy photo from the house, which has been very controversial. But the original paranormal investigator that went into the Amityville house said there was nothing there. And when he said that, and when he said that, he was fired by George Lutz, the owner of the house. And that's when the Warrens were brought in. Yeah. So it's a very controversial story, but there's no denying that something very horrific happened there. Ronnie DeFeo Jr. went into the house at 3 a.m. with a shotgun and killed his entire family, his brothers and sisters and his mother and father. And I think it was a total of 6 people murdered. And that was in November of 1974. And a year later, the Lutz family moves in, and a month after that, they leave in terror, according to them. And it's a fascinating story, and it is some place I would like to investigate. It'd be pretty interesting to go in and check it out.
Definitely.
So, are you drinking? Did you open your Guinness?
I did. I've got number 2. Number 2 is about halfway down.
We don't want to talk about number 2 on this program. This program is number 2 enough. Let me just remind people, if you're just joining us, what's going on here. Scotty Roberts and I are kind of experimenting. We like this concept of booze, brews, and bros, and we are enjoying a nice adult beverage here on a Friday evening, and we are talking about pretty much whatever comes to mind, but trying to focus on paranormal stuff, trying to focus on these topics that he and I both talk about a lot, whether it's on Beyond Reality Radio or Scotty has you have 18 programs that you do, don't you? Something? I'm always seeing something.
Yeah, I've got 2. I've got my own, the Intrepid Radio program, and I do the Situation Room with Rocky Stucci. And we do both of those shows every day of the week, Monday through Friday, at their various times. And
so you're busy doing that stuff. I've got the radio show, plus the other things I'm doing. So we're talking about this stuff in a very serious sense most of the time. This gives us a chance to have a little more fun with it, right? I mean, that's what it's about.
And I'm all about having fun with it.
And I think I'm starting to slur my words a little bit.
Hey, that's okay. That usually starts about 3 Guinnesses in for me. There's an interesting thing talking about having fun with it. Have you ever had fun with a ghost or a spirit that's communicating with you? I cite an example. A couple of weeks ago, my wife, Rainey, and Rocky, and a couple of other friends of ours, a Rebel is his name, and we went out to the barber shop in my town. Now, we talked about Ron Howard and the Andy Griffith Show. Think Mayberry, and you've got basically the downtown area of my little town in Wisconsin here. And his building, the barber in town, think of Floyd the barber without the mustache. And you've got Carl. And Carl's been since 1976 in this old building that was built in 1859. Now, there's some of your backstory that we like to get. But he told me one day he was cutting my hair and he says, he says, ghosts. He says, I said, how is this building? And he says, I haven't gone in the basement for 20 years. I said, 20 years? He said, well, maybe he wants to let the electrician down there. He says, but it's a floor door. He says, and I have furniture stacked over it. And I said, really? Why? And he said he just never felt comfortable down there, that it was creepy to him. And so here's the fun part. We've got Rainey is talking to the spirit box. And in that spirit box, she says, is there anybody here? She got a name that she thought she heard, and she asked, is William here? And you hear a male voice come across the box and say to her, how you doing? And so we thought, what? He just asked you how you're doing? Because that's what Rocky and I always say that. We say that to Audrey, and other people. We're like,
speaking of friends,
to the women folk, we say, how you doing?
Yeah, speaking of friends.
So you got a ghost or a spirit or something across that box talking to Rainey saying, how you doing? And Rocky and I started laughing, and we said, hey, William, if that's you, at least you got good taste, brother. And yeah, how you doing is right. So it's fun it's interesting when you can have a little fun exchange with things other than the serious get out, or you go, well, why do you want us to get out? I'm the devil, and things like that. It's like, okay, yeah, I get enough of that. It's nice to have interesting interaction with things.
Yeah, I don't understand the commonality, or not commonality, the frequency with which people who do investigations get things like get out or you're not wanted here, or these kind of threatening or someone,
or help is the other one. Help me.
Yeah, right. Right. It seems pretty common, but I also think there's a bit of an interpretation going on there that it's more fun to come up with that for some people, I guess.
Yeah. It's nice. And this how you doing? It was like what they call Class A, and it was through the spirit box. So yeah, exactly. So you probably have talked about time travel over the years. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Have you noticed that there has been a surge in the number of films that have been focused on time travel? Have you picked up on that, or is it something that I'm just making up in my head?
You see it all the time. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I see it in Star Trek all the time. You see it in movies. There was a series I watched called Timeline or something like that. I loved the movie Timeline that had the guy that was in 300. I can't think of his name. Scottish actor. They went back to France in medieval times and things like that. I mean, what a fascination! If you could go back in time, and I suppose you'd have to put this caveat in there, is that, boy, if you could go back in time, it doesn't matter what you do. You could step in a mud puddle wrong and change all of history.
Right.
So let's say you could go back in time and not change history. Would you not find that absolutely intriguing and something I'd do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I almost said the bad word.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's one of the reasons that I'm very, very skeptical about time travel to begin with, because my belief is that if ultimately we discover how to travel through time, backwards as well as forwards, we'd have time travelers visiting us constantly from the future, because they would be that curious. They would not be able to help themselves. Plus, even if there were strict rules about it or whatever, somewhere along the way, someone's going to lose a loved one to an illness that they could have prevented if they go back in time.
Right.
And they would do it. You think of the billions of people that will live from now through eternity, trillions of people. Somebody, if they had the ability to travel in time, a lot of those people would be coming back in one form or another, and we would be seeing them. Now, some say we are. Some say we are seeing these people,
yes.
But I just haven't seen
any real
evidence.
Now, here's the thing. You don't know if time has been changed. Let's say the timeline has been altered by anybody who's traveling through time, if that's a possibility. Would we know it? Would we be aware of it?
Well, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
You know, if you look back and say I was a single child to my parents, but in another timeline, another stream of time, string theory, as they call it, let's say you had 9 brothers and sisters. What if somebody went back in time and changed something? You know, and so you would never know. And so not to wax too serious about this. But,
I think let me just interrupt you for just a second there. I think the chat room should be responsible for, if it gets too serious, you have to tell the person who is getting too serious to drink. So in other words,
that's a drinking game.
Yeah. So if Scotty
was too serious, you have to drink.
Right. So if Scotty was just getting too serious, chat room has to say, okay, Scotty, you're too serious. You have to drink. All right. So that's the role of the chat room right now.
There you go. Well, here's the serious part. Read a book by Whitley Strieber, who wrote the book Communion, and others. And I've talked to him. I've interviewed him. He's interviewed me. And he's the one who talked about his alien experiences, abduction experiences. But he wrote a book called The Key, and it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. I read it on a flight from Philadelphia to Minneapolis. Read the whole thing. And he's talking about a guy that he met at a conference that came and knocked on the door of his room and sat and talked with him and convinced him that he was either an angel or had, and this guy, put all that aside, the assertion he made was that the world is missing because of the Holocaust during World War II, that there were so many children that were killed during the Holocaust that there are things that were supposed to happen that didn't happen. There were things they were supposed to develop, experiments they were supposed to run, a theorem that they were supposed to carry out into fruition, and they didn't get a chance to do that. And so the world was set back by the Holocaust. And now you never know. And of course, Strieber said, I couldn't tell you if this guy was real or he's never met him again, never seen him again, never saw him before that. And the guy claimed to be Michael. He said Michael was his name. So you can make what you want of that. But I would suggest picking up that book and reading it. It's a very interesting theory when you think about the things that were supposed to be done. I have a good friend who's a psychic who had all these teenagers who dead that had communicated with her, that had committed suicide, young people. And she wrote a book about teen suicide as a result. And all these kids were impressing upon her all the things that they're learning now in the afterlife were things that they missed out on doing because they cut things short and they left things undone. And it was a powerful message, whether you believe in the psychic message of it or not. And so, I wonder about that. There's my too serious moment.
You were very serious there, and I'm surprised they didn't make you drink, like, chug a Guinness. Whew. Can you actually chug a Guinness? That's too hard, isn't it?
I can. I've done it. I did it on stage at the Gaelic Storm concert. Urban Irish, and they had 2 guys come up, and whoever could chug his Guinness without dribbling won the prize.
All right, so
I won.
My original point in bringing up the time travel thing.
By the way, number 3.
Oh, nice. We're getting there. Is that
I'm feeling it.
There was this flood of movies, and you know how certain categories seem to get popular, and then everybody makes a movie about it, like zombies for a while and vampires for a while, and
space invasion, alien invasion for a while.
Yeah, and I think time travel has kind of got its moment in history, no pun intended.
Cascade.
I saw 3 time travel movies in the last couple of weeks, and I don't know if you've seen any of these. One was called Fracture.
I did not see that one.
One was called Somewhere in Time. Actually, I've seen that one a million times. I'm trying to remember the third one. I'm not going to come up with it.
Somewhere in Time. Is that the one, older one?
Yeah, 1980, actually, with Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Didn't he just pass away too?
Christopher Plummer?
No, the British actor in that. He was in
Plummer.
Clockwork Orange.
Christopher Plummer.
No.
Christopher Plummer?
No. No. Was it Christopher Plummer? No. The other guy.
I think it was.
Malcolm McDowell.
No, he wasn't in that film. Christopher Plummer was in that film.
Never mind then.
Let's go to the phone lines. All right, we're an unscreened phone call here. Who do we have?
Hello, JV. Hello, Scotty.
Is this Scooter?
Hey.
This is Fields from the YouTube chat, of course.
Oh, Field. Okay. Hey.
How you doing?
I'm here somewhere. Just wanted to say congratulations on the new show. Big fans of both of y'all. Just followed you on YouTube, Scotty.
Thank you.
We'll start watching the shows. And JV is awesome, of course.
Thank you.
And, it's a good concept that you got going on. I'm going to get my friends to follow, for the fan base. But, I like time travel. I like the conversation and all that stuff. And I figured I'd be the first person to call and give you all congratulations.
Well, if we had opened up a bar or a restaurant and you were the first person to spend $1 with us, we would take your dollar and have you sign it and put it on the wall. But since
that's right, we'd frame it.
We would. But since you're the first caller, I'm not sure how we commemorate that. We'll have to figure something out, though.
You could shout me out
that's
if
great.
you want. I don't care.
Well, we'll definitely shout you out for sure. But thanks for those kind words and thanks for the support. This is supposed to be fun for everybody, us and the people watching and listening. So hopefully we're achieving that.
I gotta say, Stucci, the meatball, is in the chat room on YouTube.
The meatball?
My partner in crime, one of my best friends in the world, Rocky Stucci.
Hey, Rocky,
we
thanks.
do radio together, and he's over there, and he just said hello.
Hey, Rocky, thanks for joining us. Good to see you there. So, Field, thanks for making the phone call. You are indeed the first, and no one can ever take that one away from you.
I accomplished something tonight. Thank you all very much. I'm going to continue to listen.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so there it is, first phone call. That's pretty exciting stuff.
Fantastic.
So we got Stucci in the. And you called him
got the big Stooch.
You called him Meatball.
Rocky Stucci. It's the Meatball Army. We used to call him, we used to do a show with John Ward, my British archaeologist friend, and Rocky Stucci and I.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocky, we called him the emotional meatball. It was just something that John Ward tagged him with. And it didn't have much meaning at the time, but it built, it grew, and he's the meatball. So now you got the Meatball Army on the Situation Room. So Rocky's the meatball. He's big. All right, describe him for just a second. Huge man, bald.
He's a huge
Italian.
bald man.
I mean, he's Italian. He's like Italian.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this delicately. Not only does Rocky have a family, Rocky was part of a family, if you know what I'm talking about, and a biker and all of this stuff. And he reformed his ways. He lectures at schools to kids and stuff like that. And a fantastic guy. I love this man dearly. But the meatball, and then he nicknamed me for the show because of something I said once. I got the definition of a cannoli wrong. And so now I'm the cannoli. I'm the big cannoli on his show. So, Rocky's one of those guys. He is so Italian, he would have a name for you. He'd go, oh, yeah, that's like, we got me, the meatball, we got the cannoli. Jimmy Johnson, I think we're going to call him, Jimmy Trigger Fingers, we're going to call him, and he'll come up with something for you.
Speaking of Trigger Fingers, did you watch The Irishman?
I have not seen The Irishman, and I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
Politics.
Yeah.
When certain actors get deep into politics, it loses their luster for me.
I understand that as well.
And I saw the ad for it, and I thought, wow, this is great. And I thought, but I can't watch him anymore. And there's certain people that do that. You get too extreme in things in political, actors, entertainers, you're supposed to be actors and entertainers. If you want to be politicians and commentators, go get a radio show and do your political commentary.
I agree.
But I got a tough time watching De Niro these days.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I understand completely. But
I always liked him.
I did watch it. I'd heard a lot of terrific things about it. I thought it was good. It was really long. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was, over the top good. I thought it was good.
You know, it reminds me of, I saw some of the scenes in the trailer for that. I remember when he did that, the two movies with Billy Crystal, Analyze This, Analyze That, were the two movies. And I like it when Billy Crystal, the psychotherapist or psychologist, says to him, he says to De Niro, he goes, who's a mob boss in the movie, he goes, doesn't anybody ever tell you no? And De Niro goes, oh, yeah, I hear no all the time. Like, no, don't. And so, yeah, it was a great role. And he's a great actor. I will give him that. But I have my problems with, he has tainted his entertainment qualities for me by his politics.
So, well, you're a tough one.
There you go.
You're a tough nut. You're a tough nut.
You're a tough guy. You're a tough guy, I see. Huh? Hey, yeah, drink it down. Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. You know, I mentioned that my face is getting redder. My nose, the older I get.
Yeah, we were talking about this, and it doesn't just happen around as we get close to Christmas, right? Because that would
you'd think
that would give me an indication there's something else. You have another, you have a secret identity there.
Oh, that's funny, Jim. No, but
does your
red nose going on?
Can you shake your belly like a bowl full of jelly? Just out of curiosity.
We will not demonstrate that, but that's the sad part of getting older. Is sometimes, if I was working out in the gym every day and I was like, I work out 6 hours a day in the gym. So what? I'm pushing 60, but I still got a six pack. I'm a typical guy.
Did you ever have a six pack?
I'm a guy. I got kids. I got a wife. I got a sedentary job where I sit behind this desk and draw pictures every day and do radio and does my belly shake? Sadly, it can if I'm not careful.
Let's go to our phone lines again. An unscreened phone call. Who is on the line?
Hi, this is Leslie.
Hey, Leslie. How are you?
Hi, Leslie.
I'm good. I was wondering if y'all could take this conversation toward ghosts or something.
We can. Anything in particular you want us to chat about?
I don't know. Just some ghost things would be interesting.
Okay. All right. We can talk ghost things. Have you ever done any ghost hunting yourself?
No, I haven't.
I
lived in Tennessee, and the Brown Mountain Ghost.
Oh, yeah. The Brown Mountain Lights, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there are tons of things around that Northeast Tennessee area that have kind of gotten me into ghosts. So I just wondered if y'all could talk about stuff like that.
Is that like Kingsport? Sure. Is that like Kingsport, Tennessee?
Johnson City, Bristol.
Johnson City, yeah, okay. I'm familiar with
Leslie, let me ask you something. There's a new series. It was out last year, and Jim and I talked about this last night for a couple of minutes. But their second season just hit. Hellier, which is has to do with elementals and things like that. And it's the Newkirks, Greg and Dana Newkirk, and Carl Pfeiffer produced this series and put it out there. It's really well done. But they were actually with Micah Hanks out at Brown Mountain in one of their episodes. And some of the cave entrances there. And
Leslie, have you seen the Brown Mountain Lights?
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen them yourself?
No, I haven't.
Interesting.
I want
to. So do you have any, I know you said you don't do paranormal investigation. Do you have any good stories, any experiences that you've had while you're out there or at your home or things like that?
Yes, actually. My uncle has a farmhouse, and he has ghosts that live in his farmhouse. It was an old slave farmhouse, and so he has activity that goes on there. Yeah, I kind of stay away from it because it scares me a little bit, but he's invited me to spend the night there and just experience the stuff. But other than that, no.
Wow. Well, Scotty and I have done a lot of investigating. In fact, we'll let you jump off the phone there, and we will talk about some of the stuff we've done. But you and I were actually talking prior to the broadcast about the Stanley Hotel.
Yes.
Which, if you're a Ghost Hunters fan, you know one of the best episodes they ever had was at the Stanley Hotel. And they actually investigated there a couple of times. Scotty and I, we met. Is that where we met, or we'd meet at the Mount Washington? I don't remember which of the two, but either way, we've spent a great deal of time at the Stanley Hotel ghost hunting, and I've had some actually pretty cool experiences there, as ghost hunters did, as I know a lot of other people did. Did you ever experience anything there in one of those ghost hunts?
I did. It was fairly light compared to some of the experiences they had, but I was there with the magazine and with Jason and Grant and you. We were all there, and I was put up in to kind of as the crowds came through and went room to room and different site to different site. I was up in I think it was room 217, the room where Stephen King had been.
That's right, yeah.
And had his experiences. And I was standing there, and I happened to be wearing a kilt that night because we had the big dinner, and I wore a formal, like tux top and a kilt and stuff like that. And so I'm still in my kilt with a sweater on, and I'm standing in the bathroom door looking into the room. There's about 20 people in there sitting around in the dark. And we're kind of doing EVP testing and stuff like that. And in that room, I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, I feel somebody poked me in the buttocks. If I may put on my best...
Did you say poked you in the buttocks? Is that what
if
you
I can
said?
use my best Forrest Gump impression, he poked me in the buttocks. And so I was standing there, and it was from the bathroom side. Nobody's in the bathroom. I feel this poke. And I kind of turned and I looked, and somebody said, "Somebody touch you? Something happened?" "Oh, yeah." I said, "This sounds kind of funny, but I just got poked in the buttocks." and other people started picking up little EVPs of the boy that's supposed to be running through the halls up there. So it was interesting.
Well, I guess it's better to be poked in the buttocks during an investigation than in the bar later, I would say.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, think of a little kid running by you and going, "Oh, poke." He's not really paying attention to what he's doing. He's just being mischievous.
I had a really great experience when I was investigating at the Rolling Hills Sanitarium.
Oh.
And it's one that I always go to when people tell me, and you mentioning a child is what made me think of it. It's one I always mention when people say, what was one of the best experiences you've ever had? And I was sitting in a room that is called the Christmas room, and I don't know the history of it per se, but I know it's decorated like Christmas. And it was done, I don't know if it was done that way when there were people living there or if it was done that way after the fact, but either way, it was supposed to attract and be set up that way for the children. So I'm sitting in this room in the dark by myself. And there's a little bit of a light coming down from the hallway, so you can see silhouettes, but you can't see, you really can't see anything, but you could see a silhouette. And I did see a silhouette. I was sitting on a chair in the middle of the room, and this little boy silhouette came walking up to me and stood right in front of me and just stood there. And there was nobody there. And I'm looking at this thing, and as it's just standing there, because it's not doing anything, but standing there in front of me, it started to feel menacing to me.
Oh boy!
So eventually, it got to me, and I stood up and hurried out of the room because I couldn't. It was like one of
Sure.
when you're staring at a dog and you have that stare down thing.
Yep,
that's what it felt like to me, and I was losing, and I started to feel a little bit concerned, so I left the room. But it was a great experience nonetheless.
Somebody that made me think of Chad Kalich's films. Have you followed him at all?
No.
Chad Kalich. I first met Chad when we were doing a Ghost Hunters event at the Queen Mary. And Chad and we were sitting down, and he racked up, like 4 or 5 peppermint schnapps. It's funny, we're drinking here tonight, and I'm talking about drinking. And but he did a film on something that walked right into one of their cameras and was very visual. And he was thinking it was, I have not watched the film, I saw all of his build up to it. Something very alien is what he thought it was. And that to me is very intriguing, because we get these ghosts. And I know Leslie wanted us to talk about ghosts, but what if some of these ghosts we're getting are actually something different? What if it's obviously a ghost is interdimensional already? It's crossing over from somewhere else. what if it's the alien factor? Have you thought about that much, Jim? Have you
Actually,
run across any of that?
yeah, actually, that is becoming a conversation that's more and more common. There are a lot of people that are starting to believe that there may be a mass intersection or intersecting of things like ghosts, alien phenomena, Bigfoot phenomena. And really, it's all one and the same thing, whether it's interdimensional travelers or it is some type of extraterrestrial travelers. Either way, it's starting to becoming a very, very common conversation. And I'm hearing it from a lot of our guests on the radio show. And I think people are starting to think outside of the traditional boxes that we've used to categorize these things and consider the idea that maybe there's, they're one and the same, showing and just displaying different methods of manifestation versus being actually different entities. And it's something to really consider.
It really is. And of course, aliens now, that whole thing is starting to morph into less extraterrestrial and more terrestrial beings that we're encountering, like this whole show Hellier we talked about yesterday, where they've gone to Hellier, Kentucky or Tennessee. I think it's Kentucky, and that whole region. This is with the Newkirks and with Pfeiffer, and they went out there and they're investigating the claims of these little people. We would call them elementals.
Yeah,
and I know John Zaffis told me a story of a time that he had been out investigating a place, and they were outside and in the dark at night, and out of the woods where they saw these elementals, smaller people. They were throwing things at them and things like that, and they had that experience. I don't want to tell his story, but that's what I remember of it. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff. Let's see, we've been going about an hour here. Are you on your third? What are you on?
I'm on my third Guinness.
Yeah, good. Okay. We're making progress here. That's good to know. Let's talk for a minute about Bigfoot, because I think I'm hesitating to say what I really think. I'm a little more than disappointed in the lack of any progress, in my estimation, of demonstrable proof that this creature is a flesh and blood forest dwelling creature. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings on it. The problem is I don't know. That's the problem. If you look behind me here, you see, I'm sorry, wrong shoulder, right here. This is a Bigfoot print. You might not be able to see it on the screen there. Sorry, folks.
We've got it trimmed, so it's kind of off there.
Yeah, we're trimmed down. I've got a Bigfoot casting hanging on my wall here, and it's supposed to be a casting of a secondary casting of a casting. Boy, I'm feeling the Guinness.
That's the point.
I hope I'm being articulate. A secondary casting of the casting made at the Patterson Gimlin site.
Yeah,
and so the famous Bigfoot film.
Yep.
And so I begin to wonder about that, and I say, if these are physical flesh and blood beings, why have we not been able to connect with them yet? And by connect, I mean find, not necessarily that they could communicate with us on the same level that we communicate, but connect in the sense that we can actually see them. You got Jane Goodall went out in the jungles and connected with gorillas and apes. And you got all kinds of people doing that. Guys, I watch Nat Geo stuff from time to time, and there's guys that go out in the wild. They connect with leopard packs, and lion, I guess they're called prides. And so why haven't we been able to do that with Bigfoot if they actually exist? Then you talk to Bigfoot specialists, people that seemingly know everything about this, and they'll tell you things like, okay, I'm thinking of Matt Moneymaker, Finding Bigfoot. He might be a little bit on that edge of being a little more pop cultural about it, for lack of a better way to put it. But he'll say things like, And we know that Bigfoots, they like to gather, they like to eat deer meat. And so this impression has got to be where they huddled together and slept at night because the hunting is good here. And you say, how do you know that? We haven't really studied them from any kind of anthropological or cryptozoological or biological aspect. There's still a theory because nobody's really communicated with one or connected with one or watched them in a pack. So the jury's out for me on Bigfoot. I would like to think that Bigfoot exists, and I'm not against that. At the same time, I can't tell you that I really believe Bigfoot exists. I want to believe that they existed. There's plenty of evidence. If there was that much evidence about anything else in the world, people would believe it. But because it's Bigfoot, it's crazy. And
well, it's just, I always come back to the lack of any new, I guess I'll say, because the Gimlin film, what was that, 68? What year was that?
67.
67. That has still been the standard. That is still the most, it's the clearest image. It's the one that offers the most direct video or photographic evidence of this creature. And anything since then has either been proven to be a hoax or has been, is blurry. It's just a glimpse. It's a shadow. It's whatever. And you just think about in today's day and age where instead of a few high quality cameras around, everybody is carrying one with them almost all of the time on their smartphone.
Yes.
And these cameras are far superior to any of the best cameras 40 years ago that you would have to pay many thousands of dollars to have. Yet we still don't have a decent image. Now I'll bring what
I will say, I've tried to catch helicopters or jets flying over with my cell phone. I'm right there on my cell phone. I go, oh, camera. And by the time you do it, they're gone.
Well, there is that. I mean, but even so, the law of averages at some point, if, it seems like we'd catch one. But now let me go to something that's also very controversial here. But before we do that, let's take a drink.
All right. Cheers. Hey, I think I could drain my third right now.
Nice.
There it is.
Have you seen Todd Standing's documentary?
I have.
What do you think of Todd Standing's documentary?
There were people that were debunking him.
A lot of people have
debunked him. I got to call up Les Stroud. You know who Les Stroud is? The Survivor Man. He has that series.
Yep.
He did some things with Standish. And Les Stroud did a kind of a mini series within his series of 8 or 9 episodes where he's doing his own Bigfoot investigation. Now, I thought I had heard that Les Stroud kind of backed off of Standish, even though he did a couple of episodes with him, because there were some things that people were saying about Standish that, really chiseled away at his credibility. But I don't know what those things are. I haven't really looked into things that people say are problems with Standish, but I've seen some of his films, and he's not a Hollywood actor, but he did seem to have some genuine emotional responses to things. Remember when he was around the campfire, he had that video. Then he said there were all these Bigfoots around him that were throwing things at him as he was in the campfire, and he's waving a torch at them and things like that.
I guess that where it kind of falls apart, and I haven't come to my own conclusion on this, but he has some pretty spectacular images of something, right?
He certainly does.
Those images in his documentary of a creature are clear, they are direct, they are obvious, and most people think that they're just way too good to be real.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is it's funny. You'll have your naysayers and your skeptics that will say, you know what, everything's fuzzy. Every picture I've seen is blurry and whatever. Give me a good picture of Bigfoot and I'll believe it. Well, then he gets these phenomenal films
right.
of Bigfoot hiding in the pines and things like that. and they're like, "Oh, that's too good to be true." So there's nothing you can do that's good, you know.
That's a great point. It's either, oh, that's too blurry, doesn't mean anything, or, oh, that's too good, it can't be real.
Right.
You're absolutely right. There are people that have gone in and done some real analysis of the images that Todd has in the documentary, and they have actually shown a rendering of how he could have transformed himself using,
Sure.
Hollywood makeup into that particular creature. So I don't know.
But it's if he's going to the trouble to do that.
Well,
you know, does he have? Is it making him money? Is there something? Is it fame he's after? I don't know. And I've got a friend over there in the YouTube chat, Mermania, who's over there.
Yep.
And, hey, how you doing, brother? And he says, I'm 54 years of age and firmly believe in fairies, ghosts, UFOs, mermaids, Nessie, Bigfoot, and Atlantis. Now, no offense to my brother, but he's weird, but we're all kind of a little weird about stuff. And, I would have to agree with him. Is that fairies, for one. Fairies, Bigfoot. I'll tell you this. I had a big ranch. You remember when I had the horse ranch?
Yeah.
And we went out we were told by somebody, you need to put out some offerings for the Fae. And so Rainey and I prepped a little, I'm trying to hide that. I can't mute myself every 2 seconds. I'm getting the little bit of,
that happens.
We went out to the four corners of the ranch, and we put out little offerings for the Fae. And is it showing yet? And other than my red cheeks, and so we put out a little coin and a couple of Oreos and some milk and a couple of treats like that. We put it out at the four corners of our big. We had a 40-acre spread. And so I don't know that it did anything, but I have heard enough stories and have been so exposed to the Celtic fairy legends and things like that, the mythology, that I can't discount it yet. And
I've lost track of what we're talking about. Did you?
I did too. It was Bigfoot. Wait, I know it'll get me back on track. Hang on.
What are you talking about?
We got number 4 going on here.
All right, that's awesome.
Let's just get a good cascade going.
Yeah, get the cascade going. See, I'm too afraid to drink out of a glass near my equipment because I'm afraid I'll knock it over.
The only people that have spilled anything in my equipment has been my children.
Uh-huh.
So I actually had there's that cascade going. Look at that. Look at that.
Now, I didn't think you were supposed to pour Guinness down the side of the glass. I thought you were supposed to pour it in directly the center of the glass.
I do directly the center, but I've adapted to doing the side.
I see.
And I still get the good cascade.
Yeah, no, it looks perfect.
Now, if I want to say a good black and tan, which is usually like a cider and Guinness, you pour cider in, and then you pour Guinness on the top, or it's the other way around.
I think it's the other way around.
We pour it over a spoon.
I think the Guinness has to go in the bottom, doesn't it?
Yeah, Guinness is. I
don't know.
Now I can't remember. It's been years since I've made one. It's kind of funny. You get to be an old guy. I got kids at home. I'm married. I got 3 kids under the age of 10 and under. I haven't gone to the pub.
You've got your own nation building going on.
Oh,
there.
dude.
You are.
Yeah.
You know how that works, don't you? You know how to stop it, right?
That has been taken care of. The thumb has been put in the dike, so to speak. So, I now have 6 kids. I've got 3 older kids from a previous marriage, and my 3 little ones now, 10, 8, and 5. And it's like all my buddies my age that I went to college with, they're all like, they've got they've got grandkids, and they've got kids that are in their 30s.
Wow.
And my oldest are 28.
Yeah.
I have twin daughters.
Your daughters are doing really well with their
oh man,
their Finn and what is it now? Finn
Folk Productions.
Yeah,
folks, if you want to go check them out, Finn Folk Productions. My daughters are 28 years. They will be 28 next month. I just got to say this about not so much advertising them as talking about the tenacity of these young people. They started when they were in college, they were asked if they could make mermaid tails for the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. And the one daughter said, no, no, we can't do that. My other daughter said, yeah, we can do that. But that's something I taught them as they were growing up, watching me freelance do the stuff I do. I never told anybody no. I always said, yeah, I can do that. And then I'd go home and I'd go, how do I do that?
Right.
And so they took it on. And over the last 8 years, they have expanded into international fame. And my daughters, I can't talk about the money side of it. I would just say, it sounds braggadocious to do that. I'm so proud of my daughters. My daughters are in a place at age 28, pushing 28, that I have not yet attained.
Wow, good for them.
Business life. And they create, the beautiful thing about it, they create magic, mermaid tales, and all of this. And they are the foremost, the leaders in their craft in what they do. And so, and I just said to my daughters the other day, I said, the wonderful thing about you is you create magic for other kids, for other people. And that's an amazing thing that they've done. And they're such wonderful, giving people. They're my daughters, of course. So
why is this video continually popping up on my screen that says send a stool sample in?
Is it from me?
No, it's not from you.
I didn't think I tagged you in that one. I don't know what that is.
It's a Cologuard commercial. It keeps popping up on my screen here. It's trying to tell me something.
Stool sample in. That's interesting.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm right on that. Let me write down that address.
Yes. I think we're gonna go like another 15 minutes here, and
okay,
kind of round out tonight's pilot episode of our program, which we've appropriately named Booze, Brews, and Bros. Now,
yes.
It must, Sacco. It must love me that much. But here, what we're trying to do here is just have a little bit of fun with some paranormal topics, some related topics. It doesn't have to be serious at all. In fact, the less serious, the better. We take your phone calls, we take your comments, and it's supposed to be a community show, all as though we were hanging out at the bar chatting. Let's imagine there was a mythical kind of paranormal themed bar down on the corner that folks like to gather at and just have some pretty cool conversation and laughter.
That's where we had a lot of good conversation. Now, I'm very, my roots are very Celtic. I'm very Scottish and Welsh. And so I would just, because I love doing it, we would go hang all the time at the Irish pub and on at least one night a week. And all the Irish bands would play, people that we knew from the Minnesota Renaissance Festival and stuff. And some of the best conversations were things that you later say, oh my God, I wish I'd had a recorder there or a camera there filming or recording what we were saying, because that was the best shit. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's Facebook and it's YouTube. We're not on the radio. It's good.
There you go.
We're okay.
And that was the best stuff that we came up with. And I don't know, maybe you'd look back at the films and go, oh my God, I was an idiot. But that's what I think this show is all about, which makes it fascinating, is loosen up a little bit. If I want to get somebody, if I'm filming somebody or doing a documentary piece or an interview, it's always nice. Do you remember John Anthony West? He was an Egyptologist, wrote the book on the Sphinx and what he believed was water erosion of the Sphinx.
Yes.
And so on. And I interviewed him a few years ago. I actually met him in Egypt. I was going into an old temple in Luxor, Egypt, Menedhat Habu. And I'm going into the Holy of Holies, and this pith-helmeted old gentleman comes out saying, excuse me, pardon me. And he's coming out, and my friend John Ward said, do you know who that was, brother? And I said, no. He says, that was John Anthony West. And so we went over, and I introduced myself, and he actually came and spoke at one of our events and things like that. And we had him on the radio. So he got on the radio, and he said, he says, the way I describe myself, I'm a Pythagorean. And he says, and I'm a rogue historian because I don't have a degree in it. And he says, pardon me, wait a second, I got to refill my vodka. And so he sat drinking. You could hear his ice cubes rattling in the background through this hour and a half long interview as he slowly got a little bit inebriated. But him being in his 80s, you know, an octogenarian, I think he was well used to how alcohol affected his system. But
there is a direct correlation between Scotty's word count and the number of Guinnesses he's consumed.
Just tell me to shut up. You thought I could talk when I was sober.
You're doing great.
Cheers, by the way.
Somebody said they were going to call in here, so I'm waiting for the phone line to light up because I have to watch it because we have no call screener. Oh, cheers. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, they're asking for another stool sample.
You know, I got one right here. It's a 3-legged one.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to get another beer here in a second. So I did see that Orion checked in. Orion's playing a gig down the street, and during his break, he checked into the chat room, said hello. That was nice.
Oh, right on.
I see that Scooter left the room early. I don't know what he's up to. Toey joined the chat room. Toey, welcome. It's been a while. We haven't seen you in the BRR chat for a while. I know you've been busy, but hey, I would call, but you don't want me to. You don't want me to. I've been yelling at people all week. Well, what's new, Toey?
Well, Toey, what do you want to yell about? I'd love to hear what you have to yell about.
Do you know the famous footage of Sacco licking the electric fly swatter?
Yes.
You've seen that?
I have.
Okay. Well, it was Toey that was on the phone encouraging Sacco to get that done. And so she's got the power of persuasion. She convinced what I will say, a very drunk Sacco to put his tongue on an electrically charged bug zapper. Yeah. It's a classic moment. It was over a year ago, actually.
You know, daring to do great deeds and mighty tasks is always accompanied by copious amounts of Guinness or Hendrick's lemonade or something of that sort.
If I had the video queued up, I would show everyone what we're talking about. But the bottom line is that I don't think he's been back since. I think he. I think he
embarrassed himself, or are you done? I'm done.
Well, I think he realized what he was capable of, and he said he was numb for weeks. He couldn't remember why he was numb. In fact, I talked to him the next day. I'm like, "How's your tongue?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" And in the back of his mind, he's like, "I know there's something wrong with the tongue, but I don't know why." He thought he had too many chips or something, and
you know,
I reminded him what had happened, and when it all came flooding back in his mind, he decided he needed to take a break from G&D.
You know, I think the worst thing I ever did was probably drunk call somebody. And this is years ago. This is before I met my wife. This has to be 2003. We were at the Irish pub, and Guinness, of all people, since I'm drinking Guinness of all companies, was sponsoring at this particular pub. They were sponsoring a Guinness and pizza night. All the Guinness you could drink and all the pizza you could eat for $5. And I got to tell you,
is that
I
like
made
that?
Use of that.
Is that like that Subway commercial? $5?
$5. I get just about. I think if I
remember
remember
what I'm talking
correctly,
about, or are you just humoring me?
I think I had 12 Guinnesses that night.
Jeez.
And I'm not exaggerating for effect here, folks.
You're just getting warmed up then.
I had 12 Guinnesses and a bunch of pizza. And then I, of course, drunk called a woman that I was dating at about that I was wanting to date. Let's put it that way. At about 2:30 in the morning. And she was thrilled, I'm sure. But we ended up dating for 4 years. So it worked out all right, I guess.
I'd like a recording of that.
That
call
has nothing to do with anything.
Can we subpoena that conversation?
Yeah, I think you probably could.
I think we should.
Let's get Adam Schiff on that right away.
All right. So I've been waiting for the phone to ring because somebody in chat said they wanted to call, but apparently they don't. I'd call, but I have no idea. There is no topic. It's anything, HH.
Yeah.
It's anything.
There, I'll just throw over there into the Facebook chat room. Call us.
Yeah, because we're going to do this for another 5 minutes. Then we're gonna call it a night for tonight. But if you had fun, then we're going to keep doing this because we have fun. You know, it's good. It's good for the economy of Ireland, right?
Okay,
Keep buying
absolutely.
Guinness.
Yes, yes. I am contributing to the economy of Ireland right now. I do think that a show like this, remember, folks, this is an initial launch. We're just testing the waters tonight. Imagine what this show would be like if we really knew our shit and knew what we were doing. So,
Yeah, if we prepared or something. Yeah, imagine.
if we prepared. Yeah. So, it's like Rocky Stucci and I, when we do radio, we get on 5 minutes before the show airs and we go, oh, what are we talking about tonight? Oh, I don't know, man. And so we shoot from the hip. And so hopefully you've enjoyed a little bit of what we've done with this. And like Jimmy just said, imagine if we prepared.
He means JV.
JV. So sorry about that. I will never get used to that, but I will eventually adapt to it.
No, it's okay, too, because Jason did the same thing when we started the radio program. A lot of people do that. Just the way it is. And the only reason I use JV as a professional name is because Jim Johnson, frankly, is the most common name on the planet with the exception of Muhammad.
You know, I would never say this to you if I didn't have 3.5 Guinnesses in me over the last hour. But I'd say, what were your mom and dad thinking? I mean, it's our last name is Johnson, probably next to Smith, the most common name in the universe.
Yes.
And what should we call him? How about Zebediah? No. How about Mahershala Hashbaz Johnson? No, let's not do that. I know. Let's call him Jim Johnson.
Well,
and so no offense, Jimmy.
I'm not offended by
JB.
that. I'm not offended by that. I was actually named after my uncle, who I respect dearly. I lost him a couple years ago. But at the same time, when I started in radio, I'd say, my disc jockey name was my name, Jim Johnson. And people, for the life of me, wouldn't believe that was my real name. They thought it was a made-up radio name because it was just too, common or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know who Jimmy Johnson was? Wasn't he the owner of the station at WKRP in Cincinnati?
Oh, was he? I don't know.
Wasn't that Jimmy Johnson was the station owner? Or the station manager.
That I don't remember. And I know there are a lot of Jimmy Johnsons, the football coach, the race car driver, and there's more.
Right.
I saw another one on football, new guy. I don't know. There's a lot of them there. But please just
I don't see many Scotty Roberts.
Nobody call him Big Johnson.
Big Johnson.
Big Jim. Big Jim.
I'm Big Jim.
You know what we have to do next time? One of our segments is going to be, and this has nothing to do with the paranormal, but we got to find really recorded, funny country music song titles.
Oh.
It's not thrilling you, but I think you'll actually enjoy it. I think it'll be fun.
No, I'm not unthrilled by that. I'm just going,
because there are some really funny
my mental catalog of country music songs.
Somebody in our Mermania said Tom T. Hall's song "I Like Beer." Well, that made me think of it. There's so many great country music song titles that we have to. We do have a caller. All right, to our unscreened anything goes phone lines.
Unscreened.
I think we have a chat roomer on the phone. Who's on? Who do we have here?
Yes, this is Haunted House.
Haunted House. So you did
How you
call
doing,
and got
Haunted
through.
House?
All's good. All right, cool. What's on your mind?
So you guys are into paranormal stuff?
You could say that.
I'm not.
A little bit
I got into
here and there.
The show or the channel a couple of weeks ago. You guys had Marcus Allen, or you were interviewing Marcus Allen for like one of the moon hoax.
Yeah, actually,
videos.
I think Haunted House. I think interview was done maybe almost a year ago. So you were probably just saw one of the older videos on the YouTube channel.
Someone mirrored it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Someone has a channel, and they actually put graphics to it.
Oh, really?
They put like all the So as you guys are talking, there's like all these displays and stuff like for what you guys are actually talking about.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'll have to find
a
that.
slideshow.
I'll have to find that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. Was it good? Did you like that added content?
Yeah, it was great.
Cool.
It was great. That. Marcus Allen's great.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a moon landing believer at all. Can't say that I am.
You don't, or you do believe it was a hoax? You don't, or do?
I do believe it was a hoax.
You
absolutely.
do believe it was a hoax? Okay.
Yeah, James Collier was the one who put me over the fence.
Oh, really?
Who's sadly gone. Yeah. He had a movie called was it a paper moon? And he was an investigative journalist who was really a thorn in NASA's side when it came to doing really, hard-pressing journalism. He went down to the museum. His point of contention was that the spacesuits and the backpacks wouldn't fit through the lem opening, and he measured them out, and
really
it wouldn't fit. He debated Richard Hoagland on Art Bell and destroyed him.
What do you think of the
really?
What do you think of the idea that we actually did excuse me, we did go to the moon? However, all of the footage we saw and have was recreations.
No, I don't think we can leave low Earth orbit.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that's the case, because it would have happened already. And not only that, NASA puts out these commercials, these little infomercials where they're talking about the Orion mission and how soon we'll have the technology to leave low Earth orbit. When it's like, well, hold on a sec, didn't you guys do that already?
Right.
50 years ago.
Right.
Well, nothing really adds up.
It's awfully curious that we haven't gone back, and when there's discussion about going back, it's often saying the response is, well, we've lost the technology. How is it possible, with the way technology has advanced in the last 60 years, that we've lost the technology to do something that we did when computers, used to fill a room with less computing power than our handheld devices have now?
That's it.
It's just really hard to take that as any kind of legitimate answer that we've lost the technology. Maybe we never had it.
There are things in this world that and then there are things that have such an overwhelming gray area, like chemtrails, for instance. Like, I look at things like whether or not they're self-evident. Mm-hmm. This probably won't apply to the moon landing, but take this for instance. I heard of the whole idea behind chemtrails from I think George Norrie, actually, on Coast to Coast, in 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. And I'm thinking about it like, well, if it was self-evident that these things in the sky, the aerosol spraying, mm-hmm. was affecting me, and because of that, I went out and researched, why do I feel sick? Why are people around me feeling sick? Then it would be self-evident. But if it's because someone told me, or I was, primed in a way, then it's not really something that's self-evident. Take, for instance, I think we can't know what aliens are. I'll repeat that. We can't know what UFOs and aliens are, because all we're really talking about are anecdotal stories that other people have experienced. And I've always said that when it comes to having an experience, and I've seen some things in the sky that don't make any sense. I saw one of the PRB-3s, this triangular thing.
Oh, really? Wow.
On my YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube page.
Cool.
It's a short video, and it's just really bizarre. But other than that, it's been movies, it's been stories. Take all that away, and would I be even thinking about it? Perhaps, but I wouldn't have I wouldn't have that idea of these creatures like greys, reptilians, and all this stuff. Because I look at that information, where did this information come from?
Right.
And it's because I either sought it out or it came from movies. I mean, I love science fiction, I love horror movies, and that sort of thing. But there's real life, and then there's fantasy.
Yep.
And there's a harsh line right there with NASA, and it just like the acronym stands for, never a straight answer. It's like we should know. There shouldn't be any debate about whether or not we went to the moon. It's like, we know airplanes can get us. We can fly in airplanes. No one's going to argue that.
Right.
But when you go one step further, then it's like, well, I can't really know that. Like, how would I know that? Like, we have to take other people's word for it, and that's where I draw the line. I can only speak about my personal experience. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't enjoy, speculation and fantasizing and talking about the topic. I've never seen any ghosts, apparitions, that sort of thing. shadow people, never had sleep paralysis, but still fascinated by it.
You have a great perspective on all of this. It doesn't sound to me like you've been drinking with us, because you're making a lot of sense, which is probably why it's hard for us to make a whole lot of intelligent comment on what you're saying. But man, you've been paying attention for sure, and that's refreshing in itself, and I respect that a lot.
If you're into, because I looked kind of like, were you in one of those hunter groups, or the other host?
I worked with the television.
Yeah,
I worked with the television show Ghost Hunters for a bunch of years.
Okay.
And my radio show, Beyond Reality Radio, which you've tuned into, Jason Hawes technically is my co-host. He's been filming, so he hasn't been on the show since April. But we'd started the show together. And Jason's from Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
So we've done a lot of that.
I think it would be worth your while to check out a movie called Hereditary.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it. Mm-hmm.
That movie, to me, was a great depiction of, because that's, I mean, for instant gratification, we have movies, and I love a great depiction of what spirits could look like. Sometimes they're just black, kind of like dust, or like a cloud, or a form, something formless, or a mist. There's a movie called Suspiria.
Yep, seen that.
Did you see the remake that came out a year ago?
No, I haven't seen the remake yet. No.
The remake was actually better than the original.
Really?
And I'm a huge fan of the original. I even have a T-shirt.
Oh, cool.
of the original movie, and I saw the remake, and they did there's some really cool effects in it. I mean, I'm a big fan of practical effects, but the CG in it is really artfully done, and I don't know, it's really off-putting.
I'll have to check it out.
Kind of disturbing. In a Jacob's Ladder kind of way.
Jacob's Ladder is one of my favorite films. I tell people to watch Jacob's Ladder all the time. Love that film.
That was written by Bruce Joel Rubin, the guy who wrote the movie Ghost.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's an interesting guy, the guy who wrote that. And that movie, I saw that when I was 14 years old in the theater.
Scotty, I had you potted down, Scotty. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You were trying to say something.
That's all right. That's all right.
You were trying to say something, and I had you potted down. Well, thanks for all that perspective. That's great. I hope you continue to listen and call in more, because you've got your finger on the pulse of some of this stuff, and that's really helpful. So appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Good talking to you guys. Oh, check out Mandy if you haven't seen that.
Mandy, did I watch Mandy?
Which one is that?
It was on Netflix.
That was good.
Is it good?
That was great. That was really good. Mandy and Hereditary, I would say, were the best two movies of 2018.
Okay. I think I went to watch Mandy a couple times and passed over it for something else, but I'll definitely check it out. Appreciate the recommendation.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you guys.
All right, man. Yeah, thanks for calling in. It's that simple.
To listen to you.
Yeah, it's that simple. And I think we're gonna. You ready to call this, or you want to drink more? What do you want to do?
I'm out of the 4 Guinnesses that I started with that were lined up back there. They're all empties now. I've got more out in the other room. We could do whatever you'd like to do, Jim.
Scotty is a little undecided. JV. We're being told to drink more.
Yes, I'd have to exit the room and go grab some more Guinness.
How long is that going to take you?
All of a minute.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that?
All right.
And I will.
I'm going to put my mic on mute, and I'll be right.
And he muted himself before he was done talking, which is kind of funny. Anyway, and Teresa thinks you have to pee as well, so go ahead and do that. If you're just joining this, we won't do this a whole lot longer, because we can only do so much. Well, maybe 15 more minutes or so, enough for him to drink another Guinness. But if you're just joining us, this is an attempt to kind of test out a new program idea where we're going to talk kind of like, drunk haunted, or what's that? Drunken history, drunken haunting, drunken paranormal. It's kind of what we're talking about here. We're having some adult beverages. We are talking about all sorts of different topics. There's really no boundaries. We're trying to keep it related to paranormal and conspiracy discussions, but it doesn't have to be. and we're having a lot of fun doing it. Paranormal Slurred is exactly what it is now. It is. Let's go. I haven't eaten today. Actually, I did eat. I had some. What did I had? Oh, I had soup. That's right. In fact, I had Progresso. What is it? Hearty penne soup. 170 calories in a whole can. It's great. There is no. What's on for tonight? Yeah, John. I don't know if you're still there. We're just doing this. What's called Booze, Brews, and Bros. Kind of fun. I wonder if you could open the JFK. I'd love to talk JFK. I don't know. I don't want to start that conversation now because we're not going to be here. Maybe we can do that next. We should have done that first because we're so close to the anniversary of the assassination. But I love that conversation and that discussion for sure. I love it. Tully, I ate all the candy you sent me. I mean, come on now. Come on. I do have a few of the M&Ms left. I've been trying to take it easy on those. But let's see. Is Scotty back yet? Let's see. Are you back?
Oh, I'm here.
There he is.
I was muted.
Yes, you muted yourself. You actually muted yourself before you finished talking. You said, I'm going to mute, and then it was gone. I'm like, what?
Yeah, sorry about that. So I do have a new 4-pack here. So.
Oh, you got a 4-pack. Wow.
I do.
Wow.
Let's see. Let's just line them up back here. And
listen, if you're joining this channel for the first time, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe. It's JV Johnson on YouTube, and we're going to also simulcast this on Scotty's YouTube channel. We will eventually, but we couldn't do it tonight for technical reasons. But Scotty, give out your channel.
My channel is Mr. Scotty Roberts, Mr. all spelled out, Mister Scotty Roberts, and you can come over and listen to. I've got about 175 videos up there, from my radio shows to commentary on things, and all that stuff. So come on over and enjoy. Send me a message.
So someone in our chat room suggested that we open the JFK's Pandora's box. And I think that's a great idea. I just don't think it's great to do that now, given the fact that we don't want to. I don't think we want to be here another 2 hours. But
yeah,
but that is a great conversation.
I just want to say, hey, Sacco, over there in your chat room, shut up.
And you said that with the perfect slur, which was really, really good.
Oh, I'm glad I'm slurring.
Do you know who's? Have you met Sacco?
I have not met him. I'm sure he's either being lighthearted or he's
definitely being lighthearted. But you have every right to tell him to shut up. Yeah,
that's something Rocky and I have stumbled upon over the last few years, and that's one of our things. Is it's like hashtag shut up, and it's perfect because whether you're talking politics or religion or paranormal or whatever you might be, there's always somebody that wants to say something. You just want to look at them and go, shut up. And so that's what we do. That's where that came from. Hashtag shut up.
Yeah. And Sacco's no worries.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I didn't mean anything offensive to you when I said shut up. It's just take it as a term of endearment.
He knows the deal. He was going to be here tonight and actually do this broadcast with us.
Oh, fantastic.
He was going to be here for the comedic relief. And,
and I'm sorry I missed the licking of racket.
He couldn't. Never mind. I was going to say something really mean, really, really mean, because it would have been really funny, but it was inappropriate, so I won't.
Yes. So I'm debating right now as to whether to crack open another Guinness or to do a shot of another Irish.
Oh wow!
Affair. My Jameson, but it seems to have eluded me. It was right here.
Well, the last person that came in the room, that I'm aware of is your 5-year-old. So I would go check on your 5-year-old and see what's going on with the Jamesons.
I get that, which is kind of funny. I'll be doing live broadcasts, and suddenly my 5-year-old girl will walk in the room. She just turned 5, walk in the room naked, and she'll pop up right here. Her head's about this tall, and she pops up and she wants to crawl up and say hi to everybody. And I said, "No, you can't. You're naked."
Yeah, I
And
could see.
Daddy's
I could
doing
see. I
live
could see the
radio, so-
FBI. Yeah, I could see the FBI showing up at your house.
Yeah.
You know, that's funny
Now, if
because
my wife wanted to do that, I'd be just fine with it.
I
but,
always worried about my like my dad would take pictures of the grandkids like in the bathtub or very innocent,
Yes.
and he would send them to me. Email them, because that's how I used to send stuff around. And I used to be like, Dad, you got to be careful. If the wrong person's going to think that's child pornography,
Exactly.
And I don't know if they would or not. I really don't know. But it scared me. I didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, you always have to be careful of that stuff. Anymore, especially, it's one of those things where anybody can say anything now. Accusations are a dime a dozen.
Exactly.
And nowadays, with the whole Me Too thing and all of that, you got to be very careful.
Everything. Let's go to our blind caller line. I don't mean that the callers are blind. I mean we don't know who's on the phone.
we have a caller line dedicated to blind folks.
Okay, who's on the phone?
John.
Hey, John. Welcome to the show.
John, how you doing?
Glad to have you calling in. What's up? What's on your mind?
Well, I got one hell of a ghost story.
Is it a true story, or is this like one of the campfire stories?
It happened to me back in 07,
Oh,
08.
wow. Okay. Let's
At
hear it.
the time, I was doing construction over in California in Rancho Cucamonga area, and I was doing drywall work. It was me, my supervisor, who also saw it, and two other people on the other end of the property. No one else around, overcast. I've, knocked everything out, did the checklist, about things that could be reflecting, people, trickery, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in a bathroom called a Dick and Jane. It's a split bathroom.
Did you say Dick and Jane?
Dick and Jane.
Yeah.
I understand what
Why
that
wouldn't
is.
they say John and Jane?
I don't know.
Or is it because like it used to be See Dick Run, See Jane Run? Were those books? Did they see Spot Run? Was it Dick and Jane in those books?
I think
Somebody?
so, yeah.
Scotty? Come on. You used to read.
And then Dick, you're getting into obvious nowadays, especially. What's the word I'm looking for?
Never mind. Let's let John finish his story.
You know what I mean. You're getting into comparisons.
Okay.
And,
okay. All right. Go ahead, John.
never mind.
So, and I felt like
Euphemism.
someone,
That's the word.
blow my face. So I'm thinking, it's my supervisor. So I popped my head out. No one was there. I'm like, okay, he probably scampered out.
Mm-hmm.
So I continued during my sanding and repair work. It happened to me again. I'm like, all right, this fat guy can't move that fast. So I looked all upstairs, downstairs, and I headed back up, and I looked to my right towards the master bedroom, and it was maybe 6.5 feet tall, black, shadowy mass.
Wow.
And it didn't look friendly. I could feel cold.
You could feel the
And
cold?
mind you, it's about 70 degrees outside and that inside. And I'm even retelling this is giving me goosebumps. And I just ran to the bathroom, grabbed my tools, and I was taking 2 to 3 steps at a time down the steps.
Right.
And I could feel like a growl or that guttural
Yeah.
coming from that room.
From behind you as you're running away.
Yeah, and almost knocking over my supervisor on the way doing it, I threw all my tools into the back of my truck, slammed the door, locked my doors, thinking that will help protect me from whatever the hell that was.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 minutes later, my boss runs out the door, tripping over a couple pipes that was laying on the ground, jumping in the bed of my truck, pounding his hand on my glass, saying, "Get the, hell out of here."
Right.
And I just turned over my truck, went about a mile down the road. It was all dirt gated, like the gravel roads.
Mm-hmm.
To the end of it, he jumps out and says, "You saw it too."
Really?
And I'm like, "What did you see?" He described exactly what I saw.
So what do you think this was? Do you think this was a presence that was following one of you, the two of you, or do you think it was a presence on the property?
I think it was stuck to the property until we came to, away from it.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was living in a newer home, and, it was maybe 5 years old by the time I was living there.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no activity at my home.
Yeah.
I could hear scratches, bangs.
So did you end up going back? Did you end up going back to this job site?
No.
You never went back?
No.
It
neither one of us did.
Because it scared you that much?
If you were seeing 200-300-pound guys,
I'm not questioning
running down
I'm not questioning. I
down the stairs.
just want to know if that was the reason. If that was the reason you didn't go back because it affected you that much.
Yeah, my supervisor says to my boss, Mr. Gonzalez, and saying, "We are not going back. You can fire me if you want, but there is no way we are going back to it."
Wow. That's
and
have you had anything like that happen to you since at any other place?
Not that shadow thing. No.
Yeah, that's pretty dramatic. You said that you felt like it was malicious. It was cold. You had a feeling of foreboding from it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hard to explain. I mean, what we usually tell people when they see a black mass, usually because it's dark in color, and has that void to it, people tend to think it is somehow malicious, and that isn't necessarily the case. But you actually felt like it was.
Yeah, it felt like, even though I couldn't see the eyes, couldn't see the face.
What do you think, Scotty? What do you think?
The details of the face.
Scotty, if you had to make a quick judgment on this, would you think something negative, or would you just think it was a misinterpreted, dark mass?
I don't like to attribute negative to things right away or evil to things right away. I like to look at it as we don't know what it is. We don't know what we're dealing with, so we can't really attribute good or evil to something just because it's a dark mass. And no offense to you, brother, but I'm just saying my experience with it is that you don't know what you're getting until you have an opportunity to be able to talk with it or communicate with it or commune with it in some form. Now, that doesn't mean that your feelings don't mean anything. If you get a feel for this thing, that it's dark, one of the best things to be able to do is pull yourself back from it and go inward and say, am I just psychologically hooked that this is something evil, or do I know it's something evil? Do I really feel that? And so you look at these kinds of things, these happenstances, and you have to gauge them by trying to separate yourself from psychologically what you might be thinking, or what you might be feeling, and say,
And that, Scotty, that was my kind of my point when I asked him, if he had a sense of foreboding versus just
Right.
saw it and automatically assumed, because often, because of the void, because of the black void that is created by these dark masses, people will jump to the conclusion that they're somehow evil or somehow demonic, and that's not necessarily the case. John said he actually felt like it had some kind of malicious intent, which may or may not be of his own making. He could have actually picked up on its energy, or he could have just, had his own energy because he was afraid. But that's an interesting story.
No diminishing John's story. I'm just saying I've been there. I've been to that at that point where you think I'm feeling darkness, I'm feeling evil, but most of that usually comes up because we're dealing with the unknown. We're suddenly experiencing viscerally something that we don't normally see and we don't normally experience. And so that makes the hairs on the arms stand.
John,
I
have
the
to
chills. Yeah,
John, I have to let you go because we're gonna end this at 11 Eastern, so we've got about another 4.5 minutes here. Because I mean, we could go all night, but we're already slurring enough, I think.
You know what? We could do the 12 midnight to 5 a.m. slot.
Oh my God, we really could. We really could. Wow. Thanks for calling, John. I appreciate it. You sharing that story.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. I actually thought of something that I wanted to mention. Oh, this whole discussion about exorcisms and demonic activity. It seems like it's become it's one of these. What do you call something that not a rite of passage, but it's where you can wear a medal on your chest claiming that you've done this.
I've dealt with evil.
Yeah,
and you have not.
I don't think I don't think most of these folks really have an idea what they're talking about, frankly.
Well, that's the thing, and I don't think everything we think is demonic is actually demonic. I was on my way to an investigation with Rocky Stucci and with my good friend John Ward, my British archaeologist friend in Egypt, and we were all. Rocky said, if you want to take time while we're going there to maybe pray or say something or ask for guidance or protection, and so I did that. Rocky did that, and after a few minutes, John says, "Well, brothers, I have prayed to the demons of the Tuat to extend their protection." Rocky about jumped out of his skin. He goes, "What? What are you talking about? Demons?" And John says, "Oh, remember," he says, "demons are not in Egyptian philosophy and spirituality the same as you might find in biblical." And so he was talking about that a little bit. So I think we all go into these situations. I forgot totally the point I was going to make with that.
That's the problem. That's what happens here.
Chalk that up to the 5 Guinnesses.
Yeah, see, that should be another game that the chat room plays. Make sure we stay on point.
It's like, you're off point, Scotty. Take a drink.
I love it.
But I can't remember what question I was answering.
I have no idea. I'm completely lost. I was lost before you started, so I'm not even sure.
But anyway, this whole idea of evil, do we really have a concept of what evil really is when it comes to encountering spirits, encountering feelings and things like that? The problem is, and you can get into all this study of ancient anthropology and religion and all of this stuff, historical information, and you find that maybe the things that we learned were evil via theology or religious teaching or spirituality might be different than we think it is. And I'm not saying open yourself up to it and be susceptible, because there's definitely evil out there. But you have to be, I think, a good discerner of what you're seeing and what you're experiencing. If that sounded anywhere near articulate, it's by accident.
I've been sitting here trying to figure out, what does this connect to? What were we talking about? How does this work? That's all I'm thinking about. Hold on, I've got something very important to do.
Cheers.
There you go.
There it is.
That's the one. Or...
Yeah.
All right. So, what would make this better? What would make it better, Toey? What would make it better?
I'm looking at the chat room here, and I hope everybody's enjoying the format we're delivering tonight.
Or at least the one we started delivering.
At least the one we started with. Yes.
Because it's kind of collapsed into chaos.
It's
a good chaos.
Well, isn't that the point? When you have a show like this,
yes,
where we are...
Scotty, they want you to take your shirt off.
Okay. No, I can't. I won't take my shirt off. That'll show the nice big scar that I have, whole heart surgery.
Maybe that would show you have a Facebook photo of you posing with your scar.
Oh, dude, I did that. It was deliberately supposed to be like the Superman in the phone booth.
Yeah.
Shot, and I did the, stretching.
Mm-hmm.
That was taken 2 weeks after I had the open heart surgery about it'll be almost 3 years ago now. And so far so good, knock on wood.
Right. Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah, nobody wants to see me with my shirt off. My beach body is 30 years gone.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. What do you think? You ready to wrap this up?
I could go all night, or we could wrap it in 2 minutes and I'd be fine. This was fun, Jim. I really enjoyed this.
If we get a phone call in the next 3 minutes, we'll stay on. Otherwise, we're done.
There you go.
All right. That's
yeah. Somebody out there, you give us a call,
and it's fine either way.
Right now,
it's fine either way. We're not.
Yeah,
we're not feeling poorly about it. That's just going to be the marker right there.
We're here. We're in our studios, our respective studios.
Profound.
We're enjoying life.
That was profound. We are here.
Thank you. Thank you. That'll be one of the only quote in all my writings. The only quote I'll be remembered for, 800 years from now was, and Scotty Roberts said, "We are here." Such profundity.
It is very profound.
I got to tell you, I like your studio.
Thank you.
Over there. I like the block walls you have going on.
Yeah, I'm in the dungeon.
You got a little Joe Rogan going on over there.
Really? I got to clean up the thing behind. I got to clean up behind me because it's a little chaotic back there. But people send me stuff, and I try to display it all behind me.
Oh, that's cool.
How about a duet?
I got junk all over. This is my studio and my office. You're seeing just the desk area here. But over there's all my books on the wall.
We'd have a really nicely appointed background with your swords and your enterprise and your flag. Yeah. And we've cut a lot out, but your hats and the Bigfoot stuff, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the hats over here, the penman hats. So, yeah, there's certainly things I like to put on display. When I worked in advertising, that was one of the things that I heard from the owners of ad agencies was our creative department. You know what we do? We let them do whatever they want. They can play, they can have their toys, they can do their thing. And, all of us in the creative department, I was a creative director. The thing about that is we'd all have our toys standing up. I had all my Star Trek action figures and my spaceships hanging from my office ceiling. And
I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
And go to the phone lines. All right. We're going blindly to the phone lines. Who do we have? Who's on the phone?
Hello.
Hello. Phone line.
I'm hearing a little something.
I hear a little bit something there.
I'll try to call back.
Yeah, okay, call back. We'll see if
we can hear you, but
we'll see if we can get a better connection. Call back.
All right.
Waiting for the call back.
So, yeah, this is the part of the show where we sit and we're drumming our fingers and just going, waiting for the call back. The girl from Impaneba. That's just typical elevator music.
Lonely, the girl from... Who's on the phone line?
Lily.
Lily, hey, how are you?
Lily, how you doing?
Hello, guys.
Thanks for calling in. You just wanted to keep us going for a while, huh?
Well, I was on the live chat, and I just sent a message saying that you guys have a pick. I mean, I have a few stories.
Yeah, you said you had a bunch of stuff.
I'm a little older.
Are you one of these? Hold on, Lily. Are you one of these? What we would call a paranormal magnet? You have this stuff just keeps happening to you.
you know what? I don't like labels, but let's say but I know that society is like that. So let's say I'm just sensitive.
You're just what?
Energy sensitive.
Sensitive. Okay.
Sensitive.
All right.
I get that. My wife is like that. My wife is like, I'm like an inertial dampener to things paranormal. My wife is like a magnet. So I get it.
My mom used to say, all I need is a broom to become a witch. So I don't know.
Whoa, there you go. There you go.
So I have a sleep paralysis experience. I also have ghost experience. I have alien contact, you say, and premonitions with dreams.
Well, let's choose one. Let's choose one. Let's talk about one tonight, and then we'll save some others for another night. We have to pick?
Yeah, pick one.
Scotty, what do you want? We want to talk about alien encounter, sleep paralysis?
Tell me about alien encounters. That always intrigues me.
Well, not a physical encounter. It's been throughout dreams, and I know a lot of people may not believe me, but here we go. One of my first dreams, I was 13, raised in Trenton, New Jersey. Not a very good place to be at. I was 13, and I have these. It's different than a regular dream. It's what they call lucid dreams. They feel different, and when you wake up, you know it's something, right? So I had this dream. I was raised in the States. I have this dream. I am in the classroom. No, I was at night. We were outside. There was a lot of commotion. There was a big spaceship outside. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy.
Wow.
I was one of the happy ones. This is a dream. I was only one of the few happy ones that it was Judgment Day. Now, mind you, 13. It was Judgment Day, and God and the aliens were going to come and pick us up, whatever. I was really happy, trying to get a backpack on. Dream changed. All of a sudden, I'm in this class, and the windows are different. The windows are not glass. They're like, I don't know if anyone has been in the Caribbean. They're like aluminum kind of shutters, let's say. And all the class, the chairs and tables were facing this big old wall of windows, and there was beautiful daylight, trees, and I was sitting in the middle of the room with a bunch of people also sitting down. Remind you, there were like elderly people, there were kids, there were like all around the world, all kinds of culture. And this voice from outside looking in, and I see the spaceship, but it's a voice. And it's telling me we're the chosen ones, and that they would answer all of our questions. And we were picked specifically for something, and we would have a mission, each one of us. So I'm looking around like, okay, what am I doing here? We're a bunch of people I don't know. I'm 13. So I raised my hand, and they said, yes, you may speak. They said my name, and you may speak. And there's no fear, there's no anything. And I asked them, why was I picked? Why am I doing it? Where am I? And all of a sudden, my dream was there, but it was muted, mind you. You know how when you're watching TV and you put the mute button?
Yeah.
That's exactly how it was.
Wow.
Everything that they told me was blocked out, but the dream continued because other people started asking questions, raising their hands, asking questions. And everything was muted, but I was there. In the dream, I know what's going on. I hear everything. I understand everything. But when I wake up, it's muted. I know it's like muting the TV. So mind you, now I'm 16. My mom decided to move to Puerto Rico, to the Caribbean. I was rebellious. I was like, that's not my place. I don't know. You know, I barely speak the Spanish. You know, I just understand it because you say it, you know. So I'm upset. I'm there in the island, and I got to go to high school. And I'm like, oh, whatever. So as soon as I hit my homeroom teacher class, like, you know, it's the same room with the same windows. The only difference, the same trees, everything. The only difference is the seating, you know, the chairs and the little table.
Mm-hmm.
They're facing I mean, you know, the blackboard, the chalkboard.
Yeah.
That was really creepy because I totally forgot about the dream. I didn't pay attention to it much until that hit me like a rock. I've never been there. So why am I there? Now this is not only muted dreams, but I've had several. But yeah, that was very creepy. Maybe not for you guys. But
that's definitely
No.
creepy. Yeah.
I've gotten messages, but they just keep being muted. And it's really weird because I'm in the dream and I'm understanding what they're saying and I'm speaking back. But once I wake up, it's just back muted.
Right.
Mute the TV. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Geez, sorry. So you promised us though that you're gonna the next time we do this, you're gonna share one of the other stories with us, right?
Oh no. See,
I hope so.
I told you guys. All right. Well, if you guys not really enjoying it. It's a Friday. I'm drinking coffee. I'm not drinking anything, but you don't have to do it.
Hope you're still having fun though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, good. Good. Well, thanks. Thanks for sharing that with us. It's this is the problem, Scotty, with this format. The later in the night that people share stuff with us, after we've had 4 or 5, how many would you on 5 or 6 Guinness?
I'm about halfway through my 5th Guinness.
Okay, so
I'm feeling it.
It becomes a little more difficult to say anything intelligent about it.
It does. And you strive for intelligence. It's like not saying that I've ever driven drunk, but it's like talking to a police officer when they pull you over when you know you've been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to sound coherent. You put on the airs and you say, "Well, officer, and you can't reach a level." There I go. I rest my case.
There it is.
You can't reach a level of cogency that convinces an officer that you haven't been drinking.
Have you had any Jamesons? Sacco wants to know.
I have not yet. If you give me a moment, I'll. I swear.
Your 5-year-old ran off with the Jamesons. There's no mystery. There's no mystery here, Scotty.
It's not sitting over there where I've got all the other ones all lined up. There's a big row of Scotch.
Let's go back to our phone lines. Who's on the phone with us now?
Evening, Scotty. Merman Dan here tonight.
Merman!
Dan, how you doing, brother?
Absolutely wonderful. You guys are drinking, and I am having my Dogfish Head Sequence Ale sour lime beer tonight.
That is absolutely fantastic. Dan is a merman. He is a good friend of my daughter's and their business, and so I've gotten to know Dan over the last couple of years. And he's a strange man, but he's a good man.
Dan, is it Dan? Is it Mermania or Mermania?
Mermania. I ran the event for 2 years.
Gotcha.
And it actually got very huge, too huge, too fast. But we'll revisit that sometime in the future there.
JD, think of
our venue, but we'll get there again.
Wow.
Think of Ghost Hunters events, only get a bunch of young people really that are into the whole mermaid thing.
Yeah.
That is a community that I never knew existed until my daughters were really
I saw some program about that, those types of events not long ago. So I was aware that they existed. So, wow. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to share, I think I mentioned it briefly in the chat room here, my own little paranormal event in the house I'm living in now. The house I'm living in, we built, 13 years ago or so on a site that was formerly a horse stable and tobacco barn, little thing they built back in the 50s. It was a pretty creepy place. I got a lot of video, but we tore it down to put our house here because it was the most level place on the property. However, once we started building the house, I would come out here every night to see what the builders had done and whatnot and close the gate, make everything secure. Once they started working on our attic area, the 3rd floor, I would climb up in there. They didn't have stairs at the time, so I'd climb up the beams and whatnot, get in the 3rd floor. And I started getting that feeling, a little hackles rising up on the back of the neck, just a little uneasy feeling. And so one night, of course, watching Ghost Hunters and whatnot, I climbed up there and proclaimed to empty air, if there is a spirit here, give me a sign. And I knocked 3 times on the closest beam and waited. And literally 5 seconds later, in a rhythmic 3 knocks came right back at me. And after that, I took a little notice, and I started doing a little research. And I started looking around. I don't know if it has anything to do with the tobacco barn, but I started looking in my pastures. I have horses here. I looked in the pastures. Every time there was a rain, I started finding arrowheads, tomahawks.
Oh, wow.
All sorts of traditional Native American artifacts on my property. And the spirit that knocked, she is female. I don't know her name. Time in the hereafter is a whole different ballgame whatsoever. So there has not been a real revealing of who she is or a name or whatnot, but I know she's female. I know she's Native American. And it's kind of a comforting thing. She's up in my attic now, which is where the tobacco barn, the 2 little areas of the tobacco barn used to be. And I can walk up in that area and immediately sense it. Scotty, you and I have talked about this before.
Yeah, we have. And there is something very comforting about that sometimes.
Absolutely. A lot of people think, oh, there's a ghost in the house. It's a frightening thing. No, it's not. There's a connection there. It's a connection to the past, a connection to just a rooting element.
Hold on one second. Just hold on. Hold on for me. Don't go anywhere.
Grab my 2.0
okay,
here.
You're back. We have somebody on hold too. So I since I'm doing this myself, I had to put you on hold to answer the other line and say stay on hold and then bring you back. So you're back.
Technology.
I know. Well, usually I have a call screener for my radio show, and somebody handles this for me. But for this thing, we don't.
No worries. No worries. But like I say, here I am in the middle of a little rural area, and I have my paranormal experience. And literally, not every day, but I can walk up into my attic area so long as I'm alone, and it's late at night, and the house is quiet, which almost never happens. I have 8 children. You know that, Scotty. And twice as many dogs, so there's never a quiet house. But I can walk up into that attic area, a certain area, as soon as I open that door, and I get the feeling. And it's not a spirit that is there to frighten, to scare away, to hurt. This is a spirit that is comforted by knowing that I know the spirit is there. There's a connection there.
Well, I'll tell you this. You're giving credit to the spirit for that. I would tend to give more credit to you for that because I think a lot of times it's how we interpret what we're seeing, hearing, feeling. And you've taken a very, very healthy approach to it. And that's probably why you're getting the impression or the results that you're getting, because you've accepted and you've welcomed and you've, in a very healthy way, made contact with this entity. And therefore, it is what you've made it.
Oh, absolutely. And there's another element here. I've always been very in tune with the electrical aspects of life and not just the human experience, but the experience of all living creatures. What it used to be, I would drive down the road, I would pass recent roadkill, and I would get these weird shivers. And it's hard to explain. My wife, I tell her, some people shiver in a long way. I shiver quickly. And that's kind of a cover-up for the fact that I have learned what I call it is last breath.
Mm-hmm.
I pass recent roadkill, and it is as if the spirit of the animal, and it has to be recent, and it has to be a spirit that's waiting. I pass the roadkill, and it passes into me, and for the duration of one breath, that spirit is looking through my eyes.
Wow.
Using my senses.
Wow.
And it so long as I have got my wits about me, I am able to help that spirit pass peacefully. I mean, roadkill is traumatic, and it's like I have been chosen to help these spirits pass in a way that is more peaceful, more calm, more in tune with the way they should have naturally passed.
Well, that's quite a I was going to call it a skill, but it's not really a skill. It's a sensitivity more than anything. And you should feel very blessed that you have that experience, and certainly should feel proud of the fact that you're helping in that particular way. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's really amazing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate it. We're going to go to our other phone line here because we really do need to wrap this up soon. Who do we have on this line?
Hi, this is Colleen from Vegas.
Hey, Colleen from Vegas.
You've talked to me before on the web page, on the YouTube thing. I'm always on there.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I'm glad you're here tonight too.
Yeah, but I have a funny ghost story to tell you. It's a real fast one.
Okay.
First thing I got to say is that my brother and my grandma are both psychic. I work for the coroner's office. I'm a pathologist. The first autopsy I ever did, I was looking at this. It was a homicide, and I had to go through all these steps. You know how you do that when you have homicides, and she cut. I mean, I was doing a thing on her arm to see exactly how far the knife went into her.
Mm-hmm.
Her arm came up and grabbed me.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, they teach you that in medical school, but it was my first autopsy. Came up and grabbed me.
How long had How long had this person been dead?
Oh, probably 6 or 7 hours.
That long? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was, I don't know if I cut the nerve when I cut her or I was, trying to do that. She came up and grabbed me. And then I looked over at the wall and I saw her standing there.
Oh, wow.
Oh my. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I went home. I came home from work that night, told my brother, and he laughed hysterically. And he goes, now you see what I see.
Wow.
Oh. So he had seen these things before.
He's a psychic. Yeah, he's a psychic.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
He's a psychic medium. He sees dead people wherever he goes.
Wow.
But I never got that.
Wow. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that. That's an experience that, just because you had the physical, the body was still there and the body interacted with you. And then all of a sudden you saw the spirit form. That's an amazing experience all the way around.
It certainly
yeah,
is.
and I haven't seen anything since then.
Wow. Well, I mean, you kind of saw the holy grail of paranormal experiences all in one fell swoop there. So that's amazing.
I know, and I did go out that night after work and drank a few.
Yeah, I'd still be drinking. I wouldn't have stopped.
I have no doubt.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah,
that's a great
I had to
story.
Forget about that.
That's a great story,
But,
Colleen.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I thought it would be funny.
It's not only funny, it's amazing, and thank you for sharing it with us.
All right.
All right. We'll see you in chat.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks. Talk to you later.
All
Bye.
right, bye. All right,
And JV, I have to apologize a little bit. While we're live on air here, I was looking for my lost bottle of Jameson.
I saw you leave. You left the frame. I'm like, where did you go?
Because I put my finger up and said, yeah, it was kind of like signal, keep going. And I did find it, and I reached it. It was down behind my file cabinet.
Behind the file
my
cabinet?
fingers touched it, and I tipped it over, so I couldn't reach it anymore. So there it sits. But I do have, and I only did that because somebody asked, Scotty, take a shot. I do have two
chat room is very, very anxious for you to take a shot.
Oh, really?
Very. Oh, they won't stop talking about it.
I got to tell you, I've got this Lagavulin, 16-year-old, and there's only about, there's not much left in there. This was given to me on my birthday 15 years ago.
Okay, so you're going to have to tell us what that is because I don't know.
It's Lagavulin. It's a single Islay malt whiskey. I always say that, when it comes to Scotch, I don't like a blend. I'm a purist. If it starts with a Glen, Ben, Dal, Bal, O, Mac, I'll drink it. I like a single malt Highland Scotch. And this is a Lagavulin single island malt whiskey. And it was 16 years old 15 years ago.
31,
so
31,
math,
31 by my calculation.
Yeah, 31. I have not opened this bottle in many years. There's not much left. Hold on.
You know what? I don't have to. I can just sit here and be entertained by you because you're entertaining me really well.
Hang on a second. Don't go away, Jim. You be entertaining for a second. I've got to reach this other bottle.
What's he doing now? Where's he going? He takes his headphones out and just walks away. What's he doing? Wow. Okay. Oh, sounds like something broke. We're listening to the destruction.
There it is.
We're listening to the destruction of his studio. What was that? That tequila sink?
There we go. Now I found it.
That
There's
cinnamon
the Jameson.
That cinnamon tequila. That was
all
pretty
right.
good.
I tipped over my chair doing it.
And I hate tequila. He's still
old
talking.
man fat ass.
He thinks we're listening about his fat ass.
Bumped into the chair.
Yeah.
Let me get my headset back on.
Yeah. Get your headset back on. What I sign up for, Leslie? I don't know that I signed up for anything, Leslie. What did I sign up for?
I don't know if you muted me during that whole process.
No, we heard you destroy your office.
Yeah.
In that process.
My little tight quarters back here. Okay. Now, if people want me to take a shot, I'll take a shot of Jameson.
He's going to take a shot.
I'm not going to hit the Lagavulin tonight.
He's going to take a shot of Jameson.
Is that what I said?
You said shot.
Damn it.
Oh, there it is. Would you have to move the file cabinet to get to that?
I did. I've got a file cabinet right here with a bunch of drawers in it. And
well, usually they have a bunch. Yeah, usually they have a bunch of drawers in them, Scotty. They wouldn't be
a whole bunch of drawers.
Yeah.
And I think my wife must have set it on the floor back behind. So there it is. It's you know what I'm reminded of? I'm a big old Star Trek fan. I grew up on the original series.
I love the theme song from the original series is like therapy for me. I remember like being a little kid and like my mom watching it, and like I'd be falling asleep on the couch. My mom would have her hand on me or whatever, and that theme song would be playing. And it's still to this day, I hear that theme song and I go to a very, very comfortable place.
And then that's good. And whenever I pick up a bottle of scotch, I think of Montgomery Scott from the original series. And there was one scene where he was in one of the shows where he was absolutely inebriated out of his mind. Oh, don't do that.
I'm sending what are those? What's this?
Sending Morse code.
Yeah, but what is that? What they do with the light on ships? Is it Morse code they use for that?
I think so. It's Morse code and lights.
Yeah. Okay.
So SOS was that an SOS symbol? So
that was a Scotty. Do the stinking shot now.
All right. And Scotty said, "Here's to you, lads." And okay, so here's the one. Now, I generally don't like a screw top on anything.
Oh, that's not what I heard. That's not what I heard.
So got to make sure there's no dust in that. So blow them up.
Oh boy.
All right. Here we go. Oh boy, it's right.
Wow.
So there you go. And I've got my my presidential seal shot glass. And to top off the show tonight, I think it's only appropriate to top it off with a shot, since people have been asking.
I agree.
So Jameson, I want to say, here's to you, lads. And I'm going to tip her back.
Hold on, don't. Let me get a shot.
Oops, too late. So while Jim's looking for his bottle, JV is looking for his bottle. There you go. That's my shot tonight. I don't want to do too many of those. I've had 5 Guinnesses. And if I start taking a bunch of shots on top of that, I will have problems tomorrow. So suffice it to say, I've had a shot of, Barry Fitzgerald. He was with Ghost Hunters International. If you remember him, Irishman from Ghost Hunters International. And Barry Fitzgerald was staying at my house one night a few years ago. We were having a big symposium that we were throwing. And he came and stayed at my house. And he said, Scotty, have you ever had, and he named it some drink. And it was Jameson mixed with Sprite, which made it a lot like Henderson lemonade, gin. And so I had Jameson with Sprite. And it was interesting. My friend John Ward was here, and John's a bit of a teetotaler, and Barry offered him, and John said, just a little glass. He brought him a little glass. But then Barry brought out for Barry and I, he brought out these big tall glasses of Jameson, and it was half Jameson, half Sprite. And it was very sweet. It was good to the taste, good flavor, and all of that. But when you're talking about a pint glass like this, that's half Jameson, it was fairly potent. And we had a few of those, Barry and I, that night, while John had one small snifter. So it was always good hanging with Barry. Jim, are you back? JV, what do you? Oh, I got to put up my.
What? This is the best. I actually went to the little boys' room during that break as well.
I did that when I was off looking for scotch as well.
I have no doubt.
So it's funny. I got the little hiccup burpee things, which you aren't supposed to do on radio. So
why does everybody have a problem with Jägermeister? This is the best stuff.
I don't. I like Jägermeister.
Or Lagermeister.
Years.
All right, so you ready? Pour yourself a shot. Let's do the shot.
I already did a shot.
I told you to wait, and it's not my fault that you didn't.
I know. You said wait as I was tipping it back.
No, you were holding.
I'm not going to do a second shot.
Actually, it's funny you say that because I'm watching the delayed video feed over here. So in my video feed, you were just holding it in front of you, but you probably were already drinking it when I said that. Yeah.
Oh, I tipped her back, and I downed that wee dram.
All right, I will do this in honor of everyone who supported this pilot program.
Absolutely.
Pilot episode of this particular program. I hope everybody had a great time. This Jägermeister came out of the freezer, just so you know.
Boom.
And there you go. And I just want to add one thing because you were talking about mixing Sprite with Jameson's.
Yes, sir.
When I went to Italy the first time, I was 15. And I went with my grandparents for 6 weeks. And we just stayed with relatives. And there were very few. I was a 15-year-old American teenager, and I was happy to be in Italy. But I wanted things that were comforting because I was getting homesick.
Yes.
So one of the things that I used to drink a lot of was Coca-Cola. And they would buy, they would buy Coke and bring it into the house. But then we're sitting around the table, and all the Italian, people are drinking their wine. And I have this Coca-Cola there. And next thing I know, they're taking the Coca-Cola and they're pouring it into their wine. And they were drinking a mixture of
into wine?
Yeah, a mixture of
white wine or a red wine?
Red wine. And they were drinking a mixture of Coca-Cola and red wine. And I can't even imagine. And they would drink all my Coke, and I'd be like,
no.
Whatever. We don't get the Jägermeister. How disappointing! Disappointing, Leslie. Why is that disappointing? Just because you don't like it, you should actually take a lot of. I should have impressed you that because you don't like it, I could actually drink it. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand.
Leslie, I almost share that with you.
Sacco,
I'm not a big.
Stop whining.
I'm not a big Yag fan.
Sacco, will you, Scotty, join me in telling Sacco to stop whining? It's like,
hey,
Jesus.
Sacco, shut up. Stop whining.
His panties are in a bunch or something. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, I think we've dragged this one on long enough. What do you think? Are we done, or do we have anything else to talk about?
I think we could be done. I don't know that we could add anything any more efficacious than we already have to the conversation.
Yeah.
There is a point where you say we've saturated.
Well, when I look at our Facebook count and we're down to one viewer on two viewers.
One viewer on Facebook. I just saw that recently, and I thought, okay, I think we're probably done. Of course, the YouTube seems to still be going strong.
Well, this is a great crowd. The YouTube crowd's a great crowd.
You know what I got to say? Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you for putting up with our antics. But you know what? This is part of why we conceived this, or Jim conceived this. JV conceived this. See, it's going to take me some time. This whole let's have a few drinks and let's get on and let's just talk.
Right.
He said to me. And I said, wow, that could be interesting. Now, I generally hold my alcohol pretty well. And, but I will tell you right now, after 5 pints and a shot, I'm feeling it a little bit. Now, Jim
Not
has
a little
seen
bit,
me.
not just a little bit, Scotty. I hate to
JV, yeah, not just a little. Does it show yet?
No, not at all.
All right, that's good to know. It's good to know I'm holding it. I've always said that I can do all the things that I did as a young man at the age I am now. It just hurts more in the end. and that's probably the truth of tonight. I think I will probably wake up tomorrow with many familial duties and obligations to fulfill. And my wife saying, hey, you ready to go to the horse parade over in Baldwin, Wisconsin with the kids? And let's go over and do things. And I will probably go, oh, my God.
Yeah, that's when it starts
right.
to hurt. Yeah.
Yep, that's when you feel it.
See, that's when, and God bless your kids, Scotty, but that's when you say to yourself, okay, what was I thinking?
Yeah, what was I thinking? And, that's come up before, too. Just having kids at my age has been what was I thinking?
Yeah.
I think I mentioned earlier in the show, I have good buddies of mine I went to college with and seminary with in my seminary days.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys all have grandkids that are some of them older than my children.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had 3 older kids, previous marriage, and now I got my 3 younger kids with my wife, Rainey. And I got to tell you, we've been married we've been together for almost 15 years and married for 12.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you. I don't know if you ever met her, but you've encountered her.
I've met Rainey
before.
Yeah, no, I've met Rainey.
My wife's she's a whirlwind.
We went to, you and I went a few years in a row there to an event in Minneapolis called Convergence.
Yes, that's right. You met her there.
We spent a lot of great time. That was a fun show.
Man, I forgot about Convergence.
Have you not been there in years? It was 2 years ago last time I was there.
I think I think I met you there.
Yeah, we did hang out a little bit there.
And I had some friends come up and meet me there, and it was a good time.
But it's changed. It's not the same event.
Everything has changed.
Yeah.
I did Minnesota Renaissance Festival for years, and I retired, quote unquote, out of that back in 2005. I mean, we're talking 14 years ago. And I go back nowadays, and everything has changed. It's not the same. Politics have changed it. Moods have changed it. All of that. But I will say this. Rocky Stucci and I, we go out there every Halloween, and we do the Phantom's Feast out there, and we take people on a ghost hunt, quote unquote, of the festival grounds. And the grounds are sitting on top of a stone quarry, and it's an oak grove. It's 23 acres of an oak grove with this old village that's been there made to look like a movie set of a Tudor or a Renaissance era village. And it's been there for almost 45 years. And so you want to talk about getting some activity out there, getting some energy out there that's stored up in the limestone that's there, that's stored up in the oak groves that are there. It's an amazing place.
I thought we were talking about Convergence.
I think we were. The one crossover I can give you is that most of the people at Convergence are Renaissance.
Go to Ren Fence. Yeah. I remember you guys talking about that a lot. And remember when the first time we went to Convergence together, it was when steampunk really was making its big splash.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember.
God, it was like,
and
it was like 8 years ago.
It's still out there. It's still,
but I think that was the high water mark right around there.
Yeah, that's when it was riding the crest.
Yeah.
And so it's still out there. It's one of those things that'll never go away.
Yeah.
It's a great, what would you call it? A great literary vehicle.
Yeah. All right. So, listen, everybody, thank you so much for supporting us tonight. We're hoping to do this on a weekly basis or something close to that anyway. We don't know if it'll be Fridays or what night of the week it'll be, but we had a great time. At least I'm speaking for myself. I had a great time. You can tell by the fact I can't pronounce words. And I'm looking forward to doing it again.
I am too. People are asking over in the Facebook chat room right now. I need to know if I get to go listen to last night's Somebody said, who was it? Toy says, which interview was better, tonight or last night? And I think tonight was much better because it was 5 times as long as last night.
Yes, I think that's, if length is any measure, then last night,
There it is.
last night was not anything compared to tonight.
That's right.
Last night's was good, just sober. That's what.
Yeah,
Reggie
yeah.
said.
Last night was sober.
All right. So anyway, stay subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, JV Johnson, please do. Also subscribe to Mr. Scotty Roberts, right? That's what it is?
That's it.
Yeah.
Mr. Scotty Roberts.
And do that as well. And look for the next one. I'm not sure when it's going to be, but if you had a good time, we certainly did. And you know what? I'd do this if there was one person in the chat. I don't care.
Yeah, I enjoy this. What do they say? The show must go on.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm moving around a lot because
you're all over the place.
Sitting funny on my chair. And I ended
Maybe
up,
that's
when
where
I tipped it over.
Is that where your bottle of Jameson's went? Is that the problem?
Yeah, it has something to do with that. I got to recork this or re-screw this on.
You're just using all the wrong words. You are using all the wrong words.
I got to tell you. Yeah. I'll just relinquish control to you right now.
All right. Hey, listen, thank you, everybody. We love you all. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for supporting us. This will
Absolutely.
This video will be archived so you can share it, let people know, and we will certainly let you know when the next one's going to be. And you better have drinks in your hands for the next ones.
Yes, absolutely. And there's something to be said about doing something like this. It's like sitting around with your friends, having a bunch of drinks,
right,
and talking about shit.
That's exactly what we did. It was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Booze, brews, and bros. Thanks for joining us.